patience, Rands. YouTube will eventually catch up. I know you're pressing buttons, but you just got to be patient with the old YouTube. It does take a little while. Jeez, I mean, hurry the F up. I'm pressing buttons and like YouTube's just sitting there going, I'm going live. You're going live. And I'm like, anytime today, thanks YouTube. Anyway, we're live. Hi everyone. Welcome to Synth Geekery, episode number 212. Wow, it's just a number. Nice Saturday, everyone. Everyone have a good day. Just before we sort of welcome everyone who's here today, which we do have some awesome people here today, I just thought I'd quickly mention what the show's about. If you haven't gathered, it's about this stuff. Synths, drum machines, sequencers, stuff with cables hanging out that Robbie likes. That's his favourite, by the way. And but it's not about those things just there. It's not about those things just above my shoulder here. So just ignore. I don't even know why it's there. Just ignore it. No, it can be if you want it to be. And we have a full gambit of awesome video guests this week, which I'll just quickly show you who's there. We've got Darren, Andy, Ian. Ian's with us for a short time because he's about to do his festival. And then Brooksy's there. And we also have, over here on this button, we have a few people on StreamYard. And you guys should know these people by now. We've got Robbie and Chris. And something below Robbie, which we'll get to later. So we'll go and say hello to all of you guys in the stack. And also, hopefully this works, we've got some chatties. We've got some people in live chat. Now, if you're one of these people that lurks, you're sitting there on your computer and you're like, should I chat? Should I put a comment up? You know what? Today is the day. Today is the day that you're going to break all of your fears, your inhibitions, and you're going to jump in there and you're going to say hi, or as we say in Australia, g'day, and just do it because you'll thank me later, and you'll thank yourself. You'll give yourself a pat on the back. Anyway, big show today. We've got a lot of products to get through. We've got every single segment is on this week, and there's a hint. Rub your hands together. But also, I thought I'd mention to everyone that you have to sort of thank people when you're doing this caper, because we're all volunteers, but these guys are awesome. We've got patrons. I've got a massive Patreon following there. Look at that. Everyone's jealous. And you've got a few people on YouTube, channel members. Look at those awesome people. Thanks very much to those. Now, if you want to be one of these awesome people, I mean, the list is growing. It's not. But if you want to be one of these awesome people, it actually does, believe it or not, it does help the channel grow and those sort of things. But more importantly, if financially is something that you can't do, the very basics is something that we appreciate. So if you can click subscribe, like, share the video, share the live stream, tell your mates, that sort of stuff, that does help to a smaller degree, but obviously financial help is much appreciated. So anyone who can jump in and help out there. We've got super chats and all that sort of stuff as well. So yes, beautiful. Now, follow us during the week on things like Discord, which is basically the discussion just keeps going on and on and on all week long. It's awesome. We have all sorts of funny things going on there. Geez, this week was pretty busy too. So jump into Discord. There's a link there. And if you want to actually if you want to put your mug on the show this week and your voice, you can actually jump into StreamYard and join us. There's the link, bit.ly/Ranzee StreamYard. So jump in and you can put your video on and your mic in, and you're all ready to rock and roll. Right, that's through the formalities. Geez, it gets long, doesn't it, this list? Right, let's start with StreamYard, because we've got first off the rank, Mr. Robbie Puricelli. How you going, mate?
I'm very well. How you going?
Awesome.
Good. Yeah, it's been an interesting week this week. So yeah, all good, nerd.
Big show last night.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. We'll say that. We had some news topics. We had Ben back. We had Kent off sick. It was quite an eventful show. Kind of threw me off kilter a bit, but we got through it, and yeah,
awesome.
We live to fight another day.
Now, if you guys don't know, Robbie is one of the co-hosts and founders of Pro Synth Network, which is a another synth show that is on YouTube, and I'll chuck a link in the chat in a couple of seconds when I can get to the keyboard. So it's awesome to have you on the show, and Robbie is here for a specific reason. We'll come to that very soon. We also have Chris on StreamYard. Let's just swap those over, and we'll go and say hello to Chris. How you going, mate?
G'day, not going not too bad, mate. How are you?
Good.
Good night. Yeah, excellent. I've had pretty typical working week, which doesn't leave much time for fun synthy stuff, but I have managed to do some more progress on the GP82 module firmware.
Awesome.
Got some housekeeping type stuff done, like saving power over power off and on, and added a service mode so that you can get access to some parameters, configuration parameters, set and forget ones. I also did a clock survey, which is basically where I get all of the clock signals from all of the gear that I have and analyze them and put them in a spreadsheet. This is necessary for me to make sure that my module's going to be compatible with every type of clock, and it's also to get an idea as to how my module's going to respond with different clocks. So that's good for that. There has been some new gear. This arrived for me yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Lovely.
And
You'll like that.
And as you could see, I have not opened it yet. So there will be
unboxing, futile.
Unboxing, but in the background, because I don't want to take too much time away from the wonderful stuff that we've got going on tonight. But if we have time, there may be some.
We'll definitely have time. I love unboxing. Yes, do that.
Okay, no worries.
Do that.
We'll do that later then.
Let me just quickly go to here, because someone popped into StreamYard and I want to add them in. I think it might be and we can quickly get him up to the front and go full screen, and then jump in there and go, "Hello, Eddie." Look at that.
Hey.
Is mic working?
Me.
It is? No.
Hello?
Oh, it's quiet.
No?
Yes?
And delayed.
Yes, but quiet.
What about this?
Yes, that's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
We can handle that.
Let me know.
Yeah. Awesome. While I got you, quick mention to JP Page 2, who jumped a super chat in. Let's just add that to here and then press this button. I think it is this button here. There you go. Thanks, JP Page 2. Small tip to keep the data connections on. Absolutely. Geez, they've gone up in price too. Yeah. Nice to have you, mate. We'll obviously we'll pick your brains a little bit about the Behringer PP1 module a little bit later. Is that okay? Is that cool? Awesome. Beautiful. Love your work. Look at that. All right, let's bring everyone back. We'll go straight away to Darren, because he's got his head down and he's muted.
And I'm muted. Exactly. Yes, not a bad week. Not been doing well. I've been in a hell of cables for the live rig. It's just been I think that's where you get motivation lacks. Cabling, and just what cables and why they're too long. Because when you're looking for a cable, it's either too long, too short. So yeah, I have to buy one that's too long. So I've ordered a few cables, and it's been a bit of a nightmare this week. But I did buy something, so I got this. Oh, where's my camera? Oh, can you see that? Oh, you can't see it. It's basically
WIDI unit. U6 MIDI Pro.
U6 MIDI Pro.
Cool.
Yeah.
I
So I got that for the live set. What else? That's about it, really. Oh, Andy and Chris, who were the only two that actually put on "What's That Synth" on my last track. You're very close. I'm not going to give it away. I'll give it away next time, because I won't have a video up this week, so people can still guess on it. But you're close. I was going to give it you, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it. So Andy and Chris together are pretty close.
No cigar.
Other than that, yeah, just been messing about doing the live stuff and trying to get cables to fit and ordering cables. And I think the cables cost more than the bloody live set in the end. So
it does.
It's like, that's all my money gone.
Yeah.
All my money gone, and I've just got cables. And I bet you any money when they arrive, I'll have made a mistake on one of the sizes. Even though I've measured it 16 times.
Oh, there's a meme for that. All right, we're going to go quickly. Andy, how are you, mate?
Hey, everybody.
Back in the studio.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Hi, Andy.
I have too many damn tabs open, and I went through all my tabs, and I'm still getting a ghost of the broadcast haunting me. So no one else is hearing the dupe anywhere?
Nah, we can't hear it. So,
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm
You
being
probably didn't
haunted
get enough
today,
sleep,
so
mate.
No, I'll just have to deal with it because now I'm hearing myself talk to myself. So.
Awesome.
No, it's just all good. Just typical week. Got some used stuff down the street because I couldn't resist. I got a hang drum. I got some. Well, I got one of the things I got. Hopefully, you have in the price watch, but I didn't pay that much for it.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Let's not give that away.
many things here and there.
You're a compulsive buyer, Andy.
That's about it. Pretty much.
Good. Awesome. All right. Moving on. Ian.
Greetings from Edinburgh, or from, should I say, my rather expensive bedsit. I'm in a student bedsit in down a place called Cowgate in Edinburgh. And my week so far, I've been to six press launches and 5 shows. Last show, it was about an hour ago. Went to see a lady who used to be the singer in 10,000 Maniacs, about her life story. So I'm having a good time. It's great, actually.
Fantastic.
And I've got another show called 3:10. I've got to go to a show called Chopped Onions and Liver or something. Jane picked it. It's weird. Let me just tell you what it's called. It's called Chopped Liver and Unions.
Jane.
Chopped liver and unions.
She picked it.
Good.
Unions.
I see what they did there.
Political.
Yeah.
Political, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did go to a show yesterday morning and they gave us free donuts. So that was definitely a visit.
Well, it's nice of you to jump in onto the show, and I know you didn't have to, but we all appreciate it.
No, thank
So
you. It's great.
lovely to have you, mate.
It's great.
And I think this is Andrew Brooks's time. How are you, mate?
Hi. Can I just compliment Ian on his theatrical dangly bit? That was.
Oh, this is my. Yeah, sorry.
I don't know
Yeah.
if we should go there.
What? What do you call it?
I'll show you the
He's got
dangly
a
bit in a
bit- he's
minute.
got-
Andy.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait.
Ear clothing? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it. Ear clothing. Actually, been a really fun week this week. Done loads with music. We ran at. You can see the modular's not here because it's round at Grace's. So we had definitely a sort of synth programming session and learning stuff about modular and this, that, and the other. And on Friday, what day is it today? Oh, on Thursday, we recorded our set for Dean Electronic Sound's next showcase, which I think is coming up in September. But we did it yesterday. It was pretty banging, actually. Oh no, Thursday. And yesterday we actually did about an hour, over an hour of live streaming, playing live, just because we've got a 45-minute set coming up next Friday at the Sheffield EMOM, and we really wanted just to sort of practice, really. So we jammed for over an hour, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. So it went from very, very ambient through to sort of quite banging. So I'll stick a link in if that's all right. If copy paste. So we did that last night. It was quite a lot of people showed up and watched us doing that, which is so. Thank you for coming and watching us do it. So yeah, that was fun. I think we'll be doing more of that. That was a really enjoyable experience. We learned.
Oh, Brooksy's just disappeared. Oh, shame.
Oh.
Hopefully he comes back. He's paused in internet land. It's definitely not the show. The show is still running. So Brooksy, I don't know what's happened there, mate. Hopefully things haven't crashed. Oh no, it looks like he's back. You back?
That's me dang.
No, he's part back.
Is he back?
He
He's
had
part
a
back.
frame of movement. Oh, no,
There he is,
looks
he's
like
back.
he's back. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
There's me dangly bit, Andy.
No, not that dangly bit.
He's talking about your ear clothing. All right. Let's get stuck into the
Oh,
show,
yes.
people. We're going to say a quick hello to the chatties. Now, I'm going to be as brief but as respectful as I possibly can. So Eddie was actually first today, and he gets to wear the yellow Guernsey of amazement. Think Tour de France. And then we've got, geez, my eyesight's getting bad. Spittoon Dude, he's chilling. Big hello to Ollie Laboratories, who's Berg, Uni. Nice hello. Who else? Neil Wharton's there. Big hello to you. JX3D, one of our channel members, of course, along with some of the video guests here as well. So big thank you to all the channel members. Culture of Ghosts, big hello. Lady Aptitude, Pat Brady, big hello to you all. Git, nice to see you. Wagoo, of course, one of our illustrious originals, we'll call him. We'll call him an original. I think he would like that. And then Mr. Max there, big hello to you, buddy. So yeah, we've got Paul, we've got Dan, and I'm just going to be real quick. So big hello to Paul and Dan. JP Page 2, of course, which we mentioned before. Thank you very much again, mate. Music Maestro, nice to see you. And I think a few people at Synchrotron, which is Andy, nice to see you. Yeah, there we go. That'll do for now. Awesome. All right, let's hit this button. And randomly, we are seeing... There's a lot of memes this week, like last week. I thought this was like kind of synth related because she didn't like the tone. Yes, it's a good one. But it's starting. That's the point. Yes, it's starting. It's starting. Next,
I would guess to start away before the ceremony.
Actually, we should probably. There's a bit of a Barbie theme, all right? There's a bit of a Barbie theme to the memes this week. And we'll start off with this one. Big hello to Barbie Harry. I think, Robbie, you shared that, didn't you, mate?
Yeah.
Who else? Let me just see. No, I don't want to show that one yet. I'm just going to quickly go to the next Barbie one. Okay, here we go. Next Barbie one there. So Barbie's the keyboardist. That's synth-rated. Right. But I'd have to say, during the week, I really, really got kind of sick of this whole Barbie thing. And this one really hit it home to me. My daughter went and saw Barbie and with her friends, and I said to her when she got home, I said, I don't want you to tell me anything. I just don't want to know. Don't tell me anything about it. Anyway, speaking of don't tell me anything about it, when someone is talking about music, another one of actually Robbie's, by the way, when someone's talking about music theory and you've never studied theory, but you own a delay pedal and you get high sometimes. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself. Boom, boom. Yeah, it's been busy in Discord this week, let me tell you. Okay, we've done that one. Oh, I think I might come back to that last. Okay, this one I did specifically for Robbie because the flat earthers were getting out there, and I thought, geez, the profile of a DX1 would be pretty similar too, wouldn't it? He's stroking it right now. The DX1, that is. let me just go to that shot there just to make sure that you guys know that he wasn't doing anything naughty. All right, flat earthers are going to be throwing their synths at the screen. Is it this button? There we go. And not last, but second to last, is playing in a band or having $10,000 worth of gear and only playing in your bedroom. Those things just kill us, don't they? Now, how do I get back to the one that I wanted to show last? Because this is going to cause quite a bit of discussion.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Quite a bit of discussion. Now, Lupop is not the only one that has had this sort of thing happen to him. Let me say, with a lot of, I guess, carefulness. Robin Vincent's also had some dramas. and obviously Nick Batts had some drummers. But I think we've all had minor to major, some sort of scale of dramas. But the interesting thing is that it seems to be that if you're going to be reviewing a product and it's going to be impartial, there can't really be any sort of nastiness from the manufacturer if you don't give them a glowing review. That's probably the big thing. You need to be prepared to, roll with the punches and enjoy the celebrations at the same time. Interesting, hey? So, should we roll with that topic for a couple of minutes, guys? I think it's a pretty good one.
Let's do
I
it.
was not surprising from the company that brought you cork sniffer. So,
Well, the peat.
Exactly. Yeah, the cork sniffer. Yeah, I have to say though that the last Korg review that I did off my own bat, Korg USA did say to me that I, as a dealer, I should basically toe the line and only be positive about the product, which is not fair, because I feel you need to be honest about these things. And from a manufacturer's point of view, if they're sending stuff for review, then expect it to get a full and honest review. Don't expect it to be a shoo-in that it's going to be a great review. And actually, what was interesting, the guy I originally spoke to when I was doing Korg reviews, I said to him, I said, well, what if I don't like it? I said because, I'm being honest with you. If I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it. And he was completely open at that point. This is Korg UK, not Korg USA. And they said, that's fine. We're quite happy for you to do an honest and open review, regardless of whether I'm a dealer or not. And that's what you expect. So that's currently why I don't do Korg reviews. I've never done. I've done a few Behringer reviews, but they were mainly guitar pedals when we had the shop. I've never really done any since. And they were never sent to me. I had to buy the pedals and then review them.
Yeah. See, the same sort of thing goes on here, Ian. So there's a company in Australia. I won't mention names because everyone will know who they are. They are basically the sole distributor of Korg in Australia. But when they do reviews, they go under a different name. And it's kind of like... it's very naughty because they never ever mention the other company, or they never ever mention that they are actually the same people. So, and this particular YouTube channel and reviewing name, right, kind of gets a lot of followers, and I think it's really kind of unethical, to be honest. And the problem is, they're doing exactly what they're told you to do. They're towing the party line. They never say anything negative. And I don't think that's kind of right, because there are definitely some negative things that you can say about Korg products. Yeah. It's not that you're going out your way to say negative stuff, but there is definitely negative things that people should be addressing.
Yeah, I mean, that's an advertorial, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and they need to be honest with people.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go over to StreamYard. Guys, do you guys want to make a comment about this?
Oh, do I? I saw the new pop thing, and I thought, oh, here we go again. And he's quite right. He's calling him out for all the right reasons. Look, Behringer have sent me stuff in the past. They sent me one thing, but it wasn't actually Behringer that sent it to me. It was Midas in Manchester, and they were doing it off their own backs. And they were really cool guys. They said, yeah, we'll sort you out with one of those. Do what you want with it, and when you're done, send it. We'll send it back. They never did though, because there it is. It's up there. And I like that. I like that a lot. I compared it with a real one, side by side. Did a video. Got them to sound exactly the same. I liked it, but they have this attitude of they see themselves as disruptors. They see themselves as being left field. They see themselves as being the odd one out, because that makes them stand out, because quite frankly they need to stand out in what is a fairly congested market, and they're doing it in such a way as they're building up a cult. And there really is no other word for it. It's a cult of Behringer. because when you read the comments that come down underneath, you know, somebody posted something yesterday on one of their Facebook posts, and it said, I think Behringer, you know, in one of these elaborate things said, what would you like to see us do next? And somebody said, how about something original? And so
Yes, I
after
saw
that,
yeah.
and then after that, then Behringer hardly had to reply to that, or should I say their marketing person didn't have it, you know, because everyone else piled in their defense, and it's kind of like, it's really bizarre. I find it very unnerving that so many people seem to want to defend an organization or an entity that don't need defending. And look, you know, if they don't want to send stuff out for review, that's fine. If they don't want to advertise in magazines, that's fine. But do not go public and say that you don't send things for review because you don't advertise, and therefore the magazines or the online publications require you to advertise to get a review, because that is an absolute untruth. I work for two of the most prominent online and print publications in the music technology world, and there is no such rule. In fact, you know, Sound on Sound, for example, have wanted for ages to review Behringer stuff, and the only time they do it is when the reviewer has gone out and bought it themselves to review. You know, there is no obligation in any of these publications. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because I'm sure that it does. But it doesn't happen all the time. It's not a common thing. And in fact, if a company approached me, as it has happened before, and said, we want you to review this, and this is how we're going to review it, this is how we want you to review it, this is what we want you to say, I'd say no. You get an honest opinion, or you get nothing at all. But there's no requirement for you to advertise. There's no requirement for you to do anything other than just do what 99.9% of the rest of the industry do, and provide the reviewers, who are considered, you know, trustworthy, reliable, knowledgeable people, with the product, so that we can give a review, help people make a decision for, you know, in buying your product. And that's all we want to do. If you want to advertise with us, fine, advertise with us, but it's not a prerequisite. It never has been. So I'd really take umbrage with that. And then, of course, you know, Ziv pointed out the whole Peter Kern incident, and there's an obvious connection there because of the whole Jewish thing. And so he absolutely has, you know, he's well within his rights to say, do you know what, screw you, not going to touch you with a barge pole anymore. But then don't turn that round and say, oh, you're not touching us, blah, blah, blah. It's infuriating. It doesn't need to happen. Yeah. It doesn't. They can just do what they want to do, make the products they want to make. You can buy them or not. If you feel that they're going to help you, buy them. If you feel morally outraged, don't buy them. It's a free market. Everyone can do what they want, but there's no need to act like dicks.
Absolutely.
Anyway, there you go.
Yeah.
Someone finally said it.
I mean, you've got to kind of got to think, okay, what's the right way to behave in I guess in a music sort of social media sort of platform? And that would, in my mind, I mean, this is kind of just my own opinion, and some people may disagree with me here, but I feel like the way that feedback modules do their stuff with me is very I think it's ethical. The guy, he sends me stuff, he never tells me that he wants me to do anything. He just sends it to me, and if I put it on the show or if I do a separate video for it, he's cool with it. If I don't, he's also cool with it. There's really no strings attached. I don't have to send it back. I don't have to say good things, bad things. There's no strings at all attached with it. And if you talk to Robin as well from Molten Modular Channel, he'll say the same thing. A lot of the eurorack manufacturers will do the same for him. It's one of the reasons why he's starting up his library, because he's got so much stuff. But they'll just send him the stuff. They won't even tell him that, it's just rocking up on his doorstep. And he literally has like a queue of gear that he has to get through each month. And some of it he had no idea even existed. It just rocks up on his doorstep. And I feel that's kind of the way. I think that's you're going to get a better result from people. And in some cases, Robin sent things back to people because he's just said, look, I just don't have time to review this. It's awesome, but there's no point in you giving it to me because I'm not going to show it, so I'll just send it back. So, it's, sometimes that happens. And I think, when you look at behaviors out there, what do you guys feel would probably be more acceptable, like as a behavior from a company? Like what would be acceptable? Would it be like what feedback modules do, or would it be what Behringer do, or would it be what Korg do? Do you see what I'm saying?
Most companies have a plan and an idea of who to send stuff to get exposure to the right audiences. So if you want to, you look at the raft of, there's a whole selection of YouTubers or YouTube synthfluencers or whatever you want to call them. They'll obviously, they have a large catchment, they have a large audience. They'll automatically send those guys most of the stuff. Robin's, one of those. But then they will look at other places, and there are some clever companies that say, well, actually, we want to reach these people, so let's get in touch with someone else. I mean, the standard practice in the business is a company will send out a press release, a pre-launch press release, and say, this is the new thing that we've got, and if you want to review it, get in touch. Or if it's a piece of software, get in touch. We'll send you an NFR code, and that's it. And then it's up to us as a publication. Well, do we want to review that? Is that worthwhile? Is that going, in the instance of an online publication, is that going to generate enough traffic and clicks? Is it going to, has it got good affiliate potential? Because we need that money to keep the thing, the site going. So we have to take in a lot of considerations. But 99 times out of 100, the company says, we've got a new thing. If you'd like to try it for a review or whatever, get in touch, and that's it. We don't generally have people just send stuff to us, although I can see why people like Robin get it, because the thing is with Robin, everybody knows that he's a pretty top-notch modular whiz, and that even just by sending him something, even if he doesn't review it, if he just says, oh, by the way, I've just got this Module X, and it's really good, and it does X, Y, Z, and then moves on to something else, that's good enough for them. That's good enough exposure, because so many people trust Robin and trust what he says. So Behringer can play by their own playbook. That's entirely up to them. And if it works for them, which it clearly is, then fine. But don't be disrespectful to the rest of the industry in doing it. If you don't want to attend trade shows and have your own trade show 50k away, fine, go and do that. If you don't want to send products to companies to review, fine, don't do it. If you don't want to advertise with companies, fine, don't do it. If you're successful, then it's working, clearly, so get on with it. Just don't be a dick. That's really all it boils down to.
Yeah.
And yet they seem to revel in dividing and conquering.
Yeah. I definitely think it's their caper, and probably they want this reaction from us, so it gets they get airtime, whether it's good
as
or
somebody
bad.
said in the chat, they're living rent free in all of our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just as a comparison, I'm spending the whole week reviewing theatre and music and all sorts of things. Now, there is no prerequisite for me. They're giving me the tickets for free, but I'm paying for the accommodation and everything else. But there is no prerequisite for me to do a good review. What we've tended to say is that if the show is that bad, we will just refuse to review it, and and that's what we do. Usually, most of our reviews are 3 to 5 stars.
That's also true in what we do. Is if somebody sends us something,
it is. It's exactly the same,
and it's not working
exactly
or as we'd expect it, or it's doing something we think, well, we don't publish a review at that time. We go to the manufacturer and say, just notice this: is that a feature or is that a bug? And if it's a bug, can you tell us if it's going to be fixed and when it's going to be fixed and what will happen when it's fixed? And then we can make sure that's reflected in the review, or we can wait and you can send us things. I mean, I found a bug in the Uno Synth Pro X, and I didn't talk about it in the review because it got fixed, but I mentioned it to them and it gets fixed, and then we just move on from there. If you don't like something, and I know Nick Bat's a big fan of this, and I am too, if you just really have nothing good to say about something, generally don't say it, because a lack of a review is a much nicer way of giving a negative review. You know, it's just kind of an unwritten gentleman's code that we have. You know, you don't have to abide by it, but you know, if you do, it just makes everything so much easier and so much nicer.
And it is the reviewer's reputation on the line at the end of the day. You know,
Exactly.
if you get,
absolutely.
if people,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people tear shreds out of me because I've reviewed Behringer stuff. You know, and I don't know why, because it's not like, you know, I'm getting paid or anything. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I'll give them a pat on the back if they do something worthwhile, and I've done that in the past, and I'll give them a rubbing if they annoy me as well.
Yeah.
And rightly so. Rightly so.
Which I think
it's
fair.
quite balanced.
You know, and I don't see the people like Ziv. I mean, sorry, Lupop or Nick or Robin, even Robbie. You know, like people like those guys. You know, they're not going to be out to get Behringer. That's the thing. I think they're worried about that, but they're not going to be if they behaved a little bit sort of less savage on social media.
It's just the problem with Behringer's sort of whole model is based on this sort of evolution of the disruptor culture. So they're kind of sort of positioning themselves as if every little decision they make is going to draw an attack, and that it's good that it's drawing an attack because it shows you how hypocritical everyone else is. It's this weird kind of, and they're saying, "Oh, that's disrupting. That's what's great about our modern world is that we can get more stuff done, and the people get what they want, and that's because anything Behringer decides to do, it's like anything Behringer decides says they're going to do, it's like if anyone says maybe that's not really kind of, you know, a great idea, or it's like, oh no, okay, that's you're trying to stop us from being, you know, progressive, and you're trying to stop the world from having great things and anything, like even some of the weirder things that they come up with, and it seems to have extended beyond just the culture of the company manufacturing. It's leaking into their online presence, and that's what's kind of a bit disturbing about it, is the fact that they're now sort of trying to rope everyone into the same sort of mentality of disruption is good. Anything we do that anyone disagrees with must be under that banner of disruption, therefore equals good. And yeah, as I said, it's a bit like Robbie says about this development of a sort of a cult mentality around it, because people are not quite questioning everything Behringer does with some kind of balance. I mean, not everything they do is bad, and not everything they do is good. There's no nuance. It's just that extremifying everything.
Yeah. Well,
there are some really hardcore Behringer fanboys, though, aren't there? As well out there.
Gosh, yeah.
But there are in all brands, aren't there? Really.
Yeah, just like with Apple and anything else.
But there's a lot
there
more.
seems to be more with them than other brands, I would say.
This idea of Behringer being a disruptor, Behringer are a disruptor in perhaps the best factor, and that is the price that they charge, and they don't need to do anything else. You know, just by the fact that their products are for the majority of people affordable. They allow people access to some really, really great gear for not a lot of money. I liked what Wagyu said. You know, I like 90% of what they do. Yeah, so me the same. You know, I've got a room full of the stuff, and it really saddens me and it upsets me when Behringer do things like this, because it's just so unnecessary. They simply do not need to. There are enough people who will sing their praises without them going hammer and tongs at the people who say we're not happy. And there's bound to be people who say they're not happy. And some of the products that they've produced which have caused the biggest question marks, things like the Swing keyboard, or the Quad VCA, which was a rip-off of Intellijel, or the clone of the Maths. I mean, these are products which are already available by other products, and they shouldn't be doing it. End of. And I know that in other areas of business, cloning and ripping off is I know, Rans, it's weird that you have one, but hey, you're allowed to spend your money on what you like. And it's. I
didn't
think the
buy
only
it.
person I know that's actually got must be the only one they've sold.
I didn't buy it. They gave it to me.
So, yeah. Oh, really? Isn't that
Yeah.
ironic?
It's. I think
mean,
it is.
seriously.
I seriously think it's ironic as well. Honestly,
I wouldn't have one in the house. I think it's
but
so
that's
wrong.
the thing. Like, why? Out of all things, why would they send me that? It's
Because
bizarre.
Arch naughtiness.
It was weird.
You know, it's just wrong.
And the
Well,
thing
you
is,
know,
with the
a lot of
swing,
this-
they weren't just upsetting Arturia; they were also upsetting and spitting in the face of Axel Hartmann, because
Yeah.
they've taken his design literally and just maybe moved a couple of things, and you're disrespecting one of the greatest synth designers of our generation.
Yep.
That's an interesting point, Robbie, because part of the design of synth technology is one of those things that's we personally elevate to a level because we appreciate it. And some of us have even, had some experience in actually design things like this. So we know how much creativity goes into that. But of course, in the corporate world, that's not really appreciated. Like the accountants of the world don't really care
Yeah.
about this. So there's always going to be that occasional disconnect between, disrespecting a designer and cloning a design and someone not getting the memo that it was a bad idea. I think it's just something that's part of our this industry that we enjoy. Unfortunately, no. So part of this industry that we love that we don't enjoy. That's what I was trying to say.
So guys in chat are saying a couple of good things too. Like they're talking about some of the eurorack modules, for example, that they've cloned or done remakes of. Let's say, like for example, the Make Noise Maths. If you guys are wondering what the Make Noise Maths is, there's mine sitting there in all of its glory. And they recently announced the Abacus, I think they called it, which is pretty much exactly the same as this thing. But yeah, there's the Batumi, which I think is just below it. Can I get this thing to move? Don't worry about it. But the Batumi is another one. Actually, I might be able to move it down. Where's my PTZ? Does that go down? Yeah, there you go. So there's the Batumi on the left. Sorry, it's a little bit dusty. So they cloned that, and you can see I've got the Brains. That's a clone of Immutable Instruments, one that they've done.
The Brains is totally forgivable because there are already so many
others.
Platts,
Yep.
Platts clones out there, and the code is open source. So I've got no issue with the Brains. It's
And
the
they also
things
added
that-
some features to it too.
Well, to,
Yeah,
They did,
They
yeah.
did the same. They've just done the same with the Radar as well. They've taken an open source thing. They've actually improved it a little, and they're charging about the same price as all the other variations of that one. No
So then
problem
it's-
with that at all.
Then there's this one, the Foreplay, which is an Intellijel clone, another Intellijel clone. They seem to be picking on Intellijel a fair bit.
It's a copy of Veils, yeah.
So yeah, so look, it's sometimes like Wagyu said, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they crack heads, and maybe it's deliberate. I don't know.
The
But,
decisions are
It's
strangely
absolutely
calculated,
deliberate.
but the weird thing is they often appear childish and thin-skinned to most people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, they don't really feel like they can stand confidently on their products because they're just whining all the time. They don't want honest reviews, and that's no way to run a company, whether they care or not. It's just very silly.
Well, I mean, look, let's be fair. Like I have given them a massive rap for the System 100 clones that they did. I will fly that flag, and I've also given them a massive rap for the 2500. The Behringer 2600 was also a really good synthesizer that they made. They did a really, really good job of that
Pro
stuff.
1, Model D,
So-
TD3, etc., etc.
Model D.
Sometimes
Okay.
you guys know this. If we've all been to the pub, we've probably had a skin full of beer, and we've probably said something we regret, right? So sometimes you've just got to watch your mouth when you're out there in the big wide
When you
world.
take all the time to edit something and make a fully polished video, you had plenty of time to think about it before you posted it.
Absolutely.
Choices
Yeah.
were made.
I also wonder, is there Is there a culture? Is there a rule in social media? Because I'm not great on social media, but is there a rule in social media that you never apologise for something you did or said? Like, it's just like, no, we can't apologise. What we have to do is put in a kind of a ironic response, and that's that'll balance out. Why do you just say, "Oh, well, sorry, I got a bit sloshed and said something stupid," or it's
people do.
It's the internet. Sometimes I say something dumb. I guess I do. Yeah. It seems like in the court,
when it comes
you can't
to
do it as a brand, though, can you?
Yeah. When it comes to businesses, I think I've seen many companies make a misstep, get called out on it, and they come back and say, "Do you know what? We got it wrong, and we apologise, and we'll try and fix that." Behringer and as a company, that's what you should be doing. You should be trying to be as good as you can be. Behringer seem to go the other way and really don't have a care about what they
don't have
do.
the maturity.
Because even after the Peter Kern incident, their apology was not really an apology. It's like we're sorry if you feel offended. No, that doesn't cut it. I'm afraid.
That's not.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So it was a real.
It was a bit lackluster.
Yeah, and it was just wrong. I mean, on so many levels. But
yeah.
Well, it's arrogance,
the
right? They have arrogance on a certain level, but then they're not comfortable on another level. So
I think the Behringer we see in social media, the Behringer we see in public, is a direct reflection of its leader. There, I said
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the Peter Kern incident was the time that I decided to stop selling Behringer as a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we haven't sold anything since then. That was when we stopped with them. I am going to have to go, guys. I'll have to watch the rest of it.
You're going to do an Ian, aren't you?
So, I'm going to do an Ian. So
that is perfectly fine, mate.
I disappear, but I will come back. See you later.
Enjoy, mate.
I'll see you, mate.
Have fun.
See you later. Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.
See you later.
See you, mate. Bye.
What we'll do with that little spot there, I've got a really cracking idea. So he's there, right? Yep. So we'll put Brooksy there. We'll put Brooksy there, and then we'll put the
stereo Brooksy.
We'll take that one off.
3D Brooksy.
Right.
Wow.
And then we'll move these guys across. Spread them out a bit.
You got a line down your face there,
Ranzee.
That's all right. Just give them a bit of space, and we could probably move them across a little bit more, and then that kind of doesn't put the line down someone's face. Then does it? There you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Gives them a bit more space. They're all tiny little thumbnails. Right. Let's go here. Let's do this. Bang. Talk about some more Behringer stuff. Yeah, let's talk about this now. Look, sometimes they do some interesting things, and we saw this thing being previously announced, so now it's out. It's shipping, people can buy it. Now, just a couple of things before we get into the nuts and bolts of what this is. These little things are going to sell like hotcakes. From what I've been told, there's some pretty impressive sales figures. These things are going to be going for like $99, right? So US. And I've heard that there's been massive amounts of orders to Behringer's factory, to all the distributors around the world, like Thomann and Sweetwater and Andertons, I guess, in the UK, and whoever else is there, probably Gear for Music and those sort of people. And then in Australia, who knows who's going to bring it down here, but it'll probably come down here in about 6 years' time. Sorry. So let's talk about the Pro VS. Yes, it's a remake of a Prophet VS. It's a little Volca sort of sized thing, so it's a very portable mini thing. It's a 4-voice synth. So yeah, who wants to talk about this? Let's go to the grid. Put your hand up if you want to have a quick comment about this. Robbie was first.
So it's not a direct replica of the Prophet VS, because the Prophet VS was an 8-voice.
Correct.
Massive.
The Prophet VS was also polyphonic, and this seems to be paraphonic. It's got 4 voices, but they're all going through a single filter, so they don't have a filter per voice. So I've not seen anything to contradict that. That said, in the demonstrations, it actually sounds, it has that Prophet VS sound, and it sounds really nice. And look, you say it's $99, or I think it's 86 or 89 over here. And I must say, I looked at it and thought, for that money, in for a penny. If I don't like it, I can flog it and probably make my money back. Or if I lose anything, it's only a couple of quid. I like that sound. It's a very digital kind of sound. I like vector synthesis. That's cool. So it's got a lot going for it. Not least the price. Does sound good in the demonstrations. Not too keen on the form factor itself. If they'd have come out and said, here's a proper, 61 key, 8 voice, proper polyphonic synth, then I'd have been even more impressed. But interestingly, they did approach Chris Mayer, who was one of the designers of this a couple of years ago, to work on this thing, and he politely declined. Read into that what you will. His reasons were numerous and many. Some he's revealed publicly, others he hasn't. But they did approach him, and he said no. So, this is an interesting form factor. I'm sure this range of synths will do very well for them. There's more coming. I can't say any more than that, but there are more coming, and soon. And
there's a lot.
We'll see.
There's a lot coming in this form factor. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Now, Brooksy, you also had your hand up, so we'll go straight to you.
What Robbie said, basically.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologise. You nailed it, Robbie. I think. I think obviously they're going to shift like hotcakes, these things. Apart from the fact that it's not the most attractive looking thing. What's not to like? It's going to sound. The demos of it sounded fantastic. Really, really great. And again, actually, it's an example of what Behringer can do. Really, and they can produce things which people are going to go, oh, this is great. I've always wanted a Prophet VS. I mean, even second-hand prices of Prophet VSs, if you can find one working, is a high. So a little thing like this to give you a little taste and flavour, people are going to love it. And
that's exactly
another
what it
reason
is.
why
It's
it
a
ends
taste
up
and a flavour.
a taste and a flavour. Yeah, exactly. And it's not pretending to be the real thing. It's its own little box. And it'll generate a lot of love from people, which is again brings me round to why it's sad that Behringer have to behave so badly sometimes. It's unnecessary because we can praise them for things like this. It gets a massive thumbs up. Keith in Watford said he's ordered one. Great, I'm sure you'll love it. I haven't ordered one. I haven't a need for one, but it's I think it's great.
Yeah, let's just have another quick look at it. Oh, that disappeared on me. Come back.
Oh, no, you.
It's really tiny. So that keyboard is kind of like a little bit the Arturia sort of mini freak keyboard sort of style.
Yeah, it's
Volker-ish.
like a Volker, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you've got this sort of sloped up part, and they've probably purposely done that so that it doesn't look exactly like a Volker. Because the Volkers are all the same sort of height, isn't it? All the way across.
It's kind of like the craft synth, just a little membrane there.
Yeah. So it's interesting anyway. Anyone else want to make a quick comment about this before we move on to the next?
No. I'm just going to say one thing, and that's I bought one of these down at the shop for $7. Got one third of a Prophet VS Mini.
Yeah, I need to know.
Does that mean
joystick.
I got one for it?
Am I the only
Well, that
one
gives you some sense of scale anyway. That's round about the size.
Am I the only one that noticed that in all of the demo videos they actually didn't show the joystick being used?
I didn't really pay that much attention, Robbie.
Yeah, the demos are weird. I also thought assumed it was really being played from a keyboard or a sequencer for most of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, yes, I would love it to have been in a different form factor. Yes, the sound is really interesting. I'd forgotten about the whole Prophet VS thing, so shame on me, given it's such a pivotal part of the 80s. But yeah, I kind of, it's going to be hard not to buy one when they come in, but Geez, I wish I'd do another version that was in a proper form factor.
Watch this space.
I'd definitely buy that. Yes, hopefully.
Well, yes.
Andy, hold that thing up again.
Oh, you saw it?
Yep.
I'm not on camera. Oh, there we go. So Akai already uses these little sticks here, right? So they've been around for a while on controllers and stuff. It's not a new thing.
Hello,
But,
PlayStation.
In the Commodore 64 days, they
Well,
were
but I mean
called
for
a
music.
joystick. A joystick. You got a lot of joy out of
Exactly.
playing with your
And
stick.
And
as
also, if you want
Wagoo's
to,
pointed out-
if you want a, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, as Wagoo's pointed out, I hope that joystick is not sprung loaded. I hope it's a proper analog stick that just stays where you leave it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
set and
that can
forget.
be really,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
That would
it
be
has
annoying.
to be vector control, doesn't it?
Yep.
That's. I mean, my SY22, you just move it and
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
it. There it is.
Yeah, you just. Yep.
Yeah,
Same
the
with
Korg,
the TG30.
the Korg one's
yeah.
set and forget too, isn't it? The
Yep.
which one's on the Korg?
Wave station.
Wave station. Wave state.
Wave
yeah.
station.
Yep.
It's a little hardware. You can get the iPad version. So.
And of course, there's the Arturia
Yeah.
plugin as well.
Yeah, yeah, Terror is definitely what I'm probably going to look at.
All right, we're finished with the Behringer one. Why don't we? I mean, you guys have probably all seen this before, but let's go to the video, and then Robbie can introduce the product next, and that is this. Oh, what happened? Whoop, whoop, whoop. We got technical problems. Why did you guys not see that? Oh, I know why. It's a Ranzee not being prepared problem. Here you go, let's try again.
Heavy amateur.
All right, spoiler, we're not going to go all the way through that video, but Robbie, being a person that's got one and reviewed it, I think we've invited him along on the show just to have a chat about it. So thanks, Robbie.
No, you're more than welcome. Right. Yeah, this... What can I say? This is a proper evolution of the concept that started out with Uno Synth, that became Uno Synth Pro, and I think with this they finally got it right. And I know it does, suck a bit that if you might have invested in the first one or two, that they've actually got it right with the third one. You might have to go out and get this one as well. But they're a company that are known for lots of other things, and synthesizers, hardware synthesizers, is something they've only been doing for like the last 5 years. So I'm going to cut them some slack. But the Uno Synth Pro X has really, it's ticked all the boxes, and what it's shown is a company that listens to its critics and says, okay, right, how can we make that better? And they've done that. And the most important thing is they've brought everything out to almost knob per function, button per function type thing. They've got rid of the awful USB power requirement for the desktop versions, and they've given it a proper brick power supply, so that's great. They've gone from horrible micro USB to USB-C, which is a much better connection. And what this does, over and above the Uno Synth Pro, is that it actually makes you want to spend a lot of time with it, because it's got everything there, and you're hands-on, and you're making sounds, and you're changing sounds, and it's essentially the same engine as the Uno Synth Pro. They've given an extra envelope which is freely assignable within the mod matrix, so you can choose wherever you want to use that or not. They've changed up some of the effects, so now you've got a shimmer reverb, and they've changed around some of the modulation effects, like so they've got rid of a flanger and a phaser, and they've put in this thing which is like they say it's Univibe inspired, and I wasn't familiar with the Univibe, but it's quite a nice thing, and it sounds really good, and the delays are quite nice as well. You've still got the two filters, so you've got the OTA filter, and you've got the what's it based on? Some SSI based filter, which is a 2-pole or a 4-pole 24 dB filter. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Do you want to hear it? Do you want to see it in action? Here we go.
Let's do it.
Fun.
Let's do it.
So, it's paraphonic. So it's three oscillators. It's mono or legato or paraphonic. So over here on the left-hand side, basically you've got your main master controls. You've got your volume. There's a lovely overdrive that actually, when you start playing with the overdrive, you kind of start to leave it turned up on a lot of things, as it really does add some nice stuff. There's a glide here to it as well. Oscillator selection, you can do oscillator sync. There's a ring modulator there as well. And then you've got variable waveforms from triangle to sawtooth to square to pulse. PWM. Then you've got the tuning and levels. Then you've got the two filters, left and right here. So you've got the OTA on the left and the SSI on the right, and then you have your your envelope generators here. So you choose between the filter, amp, or you've got envelope 3, which you can freely assign within the mod matrix, LFOs, and then you've got your effects section. Then basically over here is your global stuff. As you can see, there is no chromatic keyboard as there was on the previous Uno Synth Pro desktop. They've got rid of all of that. This is actually a metal top. It's not plastic anymore. It's a proper metal top. And you've got your 16 steps sequencer, but then you can have up to 64 steps. So you've got banks of 16 over here on the right. You've got a little chromatic note entry function here, so you can play your notes into the sequencer, transport controls. And then you'll notice there's a button here called baseline, and there's also some tie buttons and accent buttons. And basically what the baseline button does, when you turn it on, it changes a few of the characteristics of the filter and the envelopes to mimic more closely those that were found on a TB303. So whilst from an oscillator perspective it's not setting out to mimic a 303, you can get some very 303 sounds out of it. The baseline button gives you that kind of instant, if you want to use it for like that sort of thing, it gives you that instant setup from in terms of the envelope and the filters. That's kind of it. And then on the back, as you can see, proper power supply, yes. USB-C, yes. 2 pairs of CV and gate. Headphones, audio in, so you can actually process audio through the filters on this thing. It's not just a mixer bypass thing. It actually can be processed. Stereo outs, and then full-size MIDI in and out on the back there as well. So how does it sound? Well, let's kind of go through a couple of sounds here. So we've got this one here, which demonstrates the paraphony. That lovely reverb. Of course, you've got 40 lanes of automation per step in the sequencer. That was something they introduced on the very first one. You could, I think, on that one you could have something like a dozen parameters per step, so you can change anything on a per step basis. Whereas on this, it's 48. I think it's quite a lot. let's see, what else have we got here? So let's have a look at this filter here and see what it does. So let's just whack it down here on the SSI filter. This really does scream. So I apologise if I hurt anybody's ears. And you can run the filters either in series or in parallel, so you can have one going into the other or them just both separately, and you can mess around with them individually there as well. Let's see, what else have we got? Go through. Oh, actually, this is quite a nice one. This really shows how you change the settings on a per step basis. Same voice. So yeah, and for drum sounds as well. Where was it? Here we go. And that filter as well, I do love a good screaming filter. So if I just take, so that's all the oscillators out. So it self-resonates. And you can apply keyboard tracking to that, although it's not perfect all the way, across a keyboard. It's very good. Yeah, it's just, this is something that uses the bassline function. So it just gives it a little bit of a kind of a grit and a crunchiness. And this is that drive element going in. And it really does give it a whole bunch of weight. And the one other thing I did want to show you, this is really cool. So if you notice underneath a lot of these knobs and buttons, there is like a little bucket with another term in, and that's a shift function. So for example, if you wanted to bypass the effects, you just hold shift and then you press that button and that will do an effects bypass. But up here on the drive, you've got this VCA AM setting. And what this does is it basically opens up. So I'm just going to turn the volume down there because it's opened up the VCA and leaves it completely open. And then now you can start shaping a nice little drone, and you can adjust the amount as well. So it doesn't have to be full on. And then you can start messing around and then building up a drone sound, and that's just a cool little thing. I mean, it's not much, but it's just cool, and it's so hands-on. Oh, and the mods, I need to tell you about the mod matrix. Really simple to use. Press those two buttons down and you choose your slot. So you've got 16 slots, and you can see which are empty and which are full and what you're working on. And then once you've chosen one, for example, you then just choose the source by, say, if I want to take the LFO, so I just do that. So now that's locked in as the source. And what do I want the LFO to affect? Well, I press my destination, and I'm going to choose the wave function. So now my LFO is mapped to the wave shaper, and I can then just adjust the rate of the LFO, and that will then morph between those. And of course, it does come with the editor plugin and the librarian plugin, so you can use this completely in a DAW and have it automated throughout the DAW as well. Loads of other cool features. You can transpose your sequences just like you could with things like the 101 sequencer. So let's just choose one that's see. So you can mess around with the transposers as much as you like and build up a nice little pattern there. And it's got an arpeggiator, which you can do lots of fun stuff with. Yeah, it's
an SH101 style sequencer too, isn't it? In that sense,
it's that 16-step kind of TR type sequencer in there. Yeah,
Yep.
So it's anyone that's familiar with it, 303, 101, whatever. Yeah, it's very easy to get into. So yeah, there you go. That's just a little thing, and
lovely.
Yeah, come and have a go with that.
What a lovely little synth. Beautiful. Thanks, Robbie. Now they're about €580 or something like that. Is that?
So yeah, RRP is $499 before sales tax. So you're looking at about 582, I think it is, euros. UK, you're looking at about 520. So yeah, it's a little bit on the pricey side, but it does sound good.
Yeah, and one of the things I found with Uno is that sometimes the price comes down a little bit after about a year or so. So they'll get their R&D, return, and then they'll bring the price down a bit. So if it's not a desperate thing for you to get, you could hold off, and you might be able to get it a little bit later down the track. For me, I actually think this is possibly my first Uno synth that I'll be buying. What do you guys think? Who wants to have a quick comment on this? Eddie. Right, let's get Eddie set up. And then we'll go to here. Beautiful. Go, Eddie. You're muted, bud.
Oh.
Can you unmute yourself?
It's like my wife's leggings.
Nope.
I call them mumblers. They're very tight.
While you sort that out, anyone else want to have a quick comment? While you sort yourself out.
I'll pitch in.
Go, Chris.
It sounds lovely.
Yeah. Is that it?
No, it does. It does sound. It does sound good. No, it's really impressive sound. It does sound like a regular little trance machine, though. It's like obviously the presets are pretty well aimed at that, but it does go into some really nasty, gnarly territory, which I like.
yeah.
So.
You can just imagine it in those Italian dance clubs, can't you?
There is a Armin van Buuren have 20 of them around him in a big concert stage or something. No, it's an impressive product. It really looks like they've spent a long time, gone away and just refined everything. It's definitely true that the aesthetic now very much matches the synth, and I think it very much elevates it. So I think it's a really good job they've done there with Uno. But and maybe it's a good example of sometimes it's worth sitting on a product until it's right.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
This is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, because it's not quite the opposite end of the spectrum, but it's a bit pricier, but it is one of those cases where they're not putting out a whole massive line of products, and this is kind of what they're trying to do. They're trying to perfect that kind of style of company, so I think that's I think they're succeeding. I remember the original Uno was pretty well received. I think it's like the first time I even saw a clip of Super Booth on YouTube. That's how recent I am to this game. But so I remember the Uno from way back when they launched. So it's cool seeing a product evolve like that.
Fantastic.
I'm hoping they do the similar sort of thing with the Uno drum, because the Uno drum had potential, but was kind of a little bit let down by the fact that it had that capacitive touch thing. People really didn't like that. Now they've got this form factor.
See, I wasn't let down by that, Robbie. I didn't mind that.
No, yeah.
What I didn't like about the Uno drum is that it was a pain in the ass to put your own samples in it. That's what got me sort of. I thought, like, make it so that if you're going to do a drum synth sequencer type thing, make the sample uploading and manipulation easy for people. Don't make it a pain in the ass. I mean, it's almost like. Do you remember the Volca sample, the first one? That's not the second one.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was not as bad as
You
that.
could use the
but it
app
was
on the vocal sample, the old one, the iOS app. pretty easy. So
It was kind of annoying that the app that they made didn't even work properly. There's some other guy that did an app that was better, and then they stopped supporting it. But anyway, we won't go down there. Eddie, is your microphone working? No. See if you can sort it
let's
out,
do
mate.
semaphore.
You're
Just,
definitely not muted. Let me just hold my. Let me just.
Do you need
here.
BSL? Yeah.
No, you're not muted on my end, mate. So it's nothing to do with me. Keep trying. Keep trying. All right. Okay, we'll head back to the list of things to look at. We've already looked at that. Sorry, while we've got that, let's just see. Anyone in chat, if you want to make a comment about this, just do probably the easiest way to do it is to do a super chat. That will get my attention. But if if that's an issue, highlight my name and then I'll pop it up on the screen as we go. So if you do want to do that, it's really, really hard today to sort of keep an eye on the chat at the same time. But if like Brooksy or someone else wants to do that, then fair enough. Let's talk about this thing, shall we? This is kind of where we were talking about stuff earlier, about how they make things that kind of have already been made. So what is this? This is a eurorack module from Behringer that is basically this.
Okay, right here.
It's one of those things. It's a mutable instruments well, it's not really mutable instruments that made this. It was mutable music things. It was a collaboration between two engineers, basically. And that's a contact mic, right? You guys can hear that, can't you? It's probably a bit quiet. And right, it's nothing exciting. So that's what this is. Now, the sad thing, I guess, is that you can't buy this anymore. They don't make them, right? So the positive is that you can buy this. And it's got a few extra features on it that the my ears didn't have. I don't know if there was any sort of subsequent ears that came out that had these extra features on it. One thing I don't like about it though is a tiny little minuscule gain knob on it, which I kind of actually prefer the decent knob, like the decent gain knob here. Notice that even if I touch that knob, look at the sensitivity of the contact mic. It's even reacting to. I mean, even if I bang the case, it's reacting. So that's obviously natural for any contact mics. But let's get back to this. You've got some switches that are adding features to it. But other than that, the rest of it is pretty much the same. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but I do want to get you guys to make a comment about this. Does any of you want to buy a radar?
Actually, a quick thing about the ears as well that this doesn't seem to have. This is actually textured.
Yeah, mine's textured as well.
So you can scrape it and get more effects out of it than just tapping. So.
Yeah. Excellent point. Now, it doesn't look like it is, does it? Well, where's it gone?
Doesn't look like
They
it. No,
seem
it's just
to-
screened.
Well, I
Didn't he do a
think it
demo?
was-
You did. Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I thought he did a demo with scratching.
Chris? We'll go
Did
Chris.
he? Oh,
Oh no, I was
Andy-
just going to say.
Andy,
I
I'll
was just
come
going to
to
say
you next.
I did watch the video, so I thought he did do the scratching thing with the plectrum over the ridges thing. Yeah, which is what you're doing there. I thought he did that in the demo video.
But there's hardly any ridges.
Obviously did as well.
Yeah. Brooksy?
I watched the video and I did not at all think about the ears module. I was reminded more of there's a 1U Intellijel little disc thing that you can tap and scrape and it sends out control voltages in different ways. I thought it looked much more like that, and this has got way more features built into it, many more, the different sort of attacks and sensitivity levels and all that than the Intellijel one. So again, this isn't a clone. It's an idea that's been out there in Eurorack land for quite a long time, and it's their take on it, and they've done their own bits to make it theirs. Again, I think it's a really nice idea. I'm not sure that I'm not bothered about having one. It might be an interesting way of inputting sort of control voltage modulation, but I think it's an interesting little module. Not one that makes me angry. So, well done.
The Intellijel Bullseye thing, I have one. It's actually a pressure sensor, so it's different. It's not a contact mic.
Okay, right, okay.
It's a force sensor. So
But the ideas are sort
you
of
muted,
similar,
Ranzee.
aren't they?
So I had the ears since for 9 months, I guess. I probably should show you guys. We actually did a show back in Synth Geekery episode 181, so it's not that long ago, where I talked about it. There it is. There, that's the. You can hear me talking about it. When I did this particular show, I had it plugged into the. Was it the Rings? Yeah, I had it plugged into the Ranzee, which is the Rings clone by Cowsynth, and I kind of felt that the ears was much better paired up with one of those sort of types of sound generating device where you get, it picks up that contact mic and it brings it through. Whereas right now I've got it set up with a standard, analog oscillator, and it's really not that good. It just becomes kind of like a tappy thing, and it's, you become pretty bored with it pretty quickly. So that's kind of my take on these things. No doubt, I reckon that Behringer would probably bring this thing out pretty cheap. That would be the other side of it. So, should we move on to the next?
So Error Instruments also makes ones with springs on it. So the contact mic, and you scrape a spring or pluck a spring.
Yep.
And so this could be modded to do even more than just tapping and scraping.
Yeah. So the ears, with the ears, one of the things that they actually encourage you to do is to actually use knurlies with the ears, and then what you do is you grab a rubber band, tie it around the something up here, and then tie it around that, and then you pluck a rubber band over that contact mic, and you get kind of different sound effects and stuff. So you can do things like that with it. It's almost like teenage engineering stuff. You put some Lego on it or something. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's good that they're going to be bringing something like that out, because, like I said, you can't get ears anymore. There are other things that are kind of along that line, but you can't get them anymore. Anyway, we should move on. Now, the next one I'm going to get Chris geared up and ready for, but we'll do the video first, Chris. So you guys, you know what this is about, don't you, Chris?
Yes.
Good. All right, I'll get you teed
Excellent.
up, and we'll go here.
2 analog ADSR envelopes and a pulsar section on the left here. Each envelope has attack, decay, sustain, and release sliders, a 3-position switch for setting time range, so fast envelopes, medium speed, and slow speed, manual buttons for generating the gate for each ADSR, and a status LED to show what the output is. Down here we have the controls for the 2 ADSRs. So they each have a gate, and the gates are normaled. If I plug in an external gate, both envelopes will fire. They each have a retrig, which is useful if you are playing from a keyboard and you're playing legato, meaning you hold down one note and then you press another one. This will allow you to retrigger the envelope even though you're holding it high. The retrig can be used for some other effects as well. So here I have gate patched to the FSR, and whenever I hold this high, because it's receiving a constant retrig from Metropolis, we're going to get a repeating ADSR trigger.
There's that module.
But it only happens when this gate is high. So it's like a gated repeating envelope. Another common application for this is if we use both envelopes, and one is for the amplitude and one is for filter cutoff. So right now, both envelopes are being triggered, but I'm going to re-trigger one of them with this faster pulse. Both of the ADSRs have a VCA input jack. So one of the most common applications for this is for controlling the output level of the ADSR. So in this example, I'm going to just manually control this with a DC voltage from the Duet. So I'll patch that in here, and then I will gate the ADSR from Metropolis. And as I turn down this level, the output level goes down too. The way this VCA works is internally there is a linear VCA that is being controlled by the envelope. And the input of the VCA is this jack, and this is normaled to 8 volts. So without anything patched in, this envelope controls the output of this VCA, and that gives you the 0 to 8 volt range. When I patched in a DC voltage here, I'm now changing what that output range would be. So if I put this to 2 volts, let's say, then that means the output is now going to be 0 to a maximum of 2 volts. And in this way, I can control the level. I can just keep turning that down. But by doing it this way, there's some other things that you can do. So for example, if I change this to a negative voltage, then the output range of the envelope will be a negative value. And even more useful is that I can just straight up plug audio into here, and now the envelope is multiplying that level. So you can actually skip what we've done here, which is connect to an external VCA, and you can just use this internally. So now you can see I've patched the audio into the VCA, the output to our audio output, and I'm gating it from here. You can see instead of the LED being green to just show a positive DC voltage, you're getting orange because it's going bipolar, negative and positive, so you're getting the mix of red and green together. This configuration also allows me to do through zero modulation. So now I have the second envelope patched into the FM input of the Dixie. Get that zap. And this is being controlled by the Duet. So I'm getting a 5 volt value normaled here. And as I turn this down, the size of that FM envelope gets smaller and smaller. But then, since this is a bipolar control, as I'm going negative, I'm now getting inverted modulation. You can do the same by just patching in a...
All right, we aren't going to watch another 11 minutes on this, but you guys get the idea. So let's go across to Chris. Full screen on Chris.
Hey, so this is the Tangrams from Intellijel.
Robot
you're
voice.
Daleki.
Robot
you
voice
imagine-
it is.
You're Daleki.
Oh dear. Let me try.
Let me go to the product image while you're doing
Yeah.
that.
Right, I shall try and stop this. Okay, how about now?
No, it's still Daleki.
Oh dear.
It reminded me of James
When it
Blunt.
goes, it seems to stay gone, doesn't it?
Okay, it's gone.
I could try disc. Is it gone? Okay, yeah. Okay, well, I'll have to do it without me notes. So this is the Intellijel Tangrams. So if you imagined the famous make noise maths, if you put that into Google Translate and converted it from make noise speak to English, this is what the Tangrams would come out as. Basically, it's it's a pingable, a little ping engine on one side and 2 envelopes on the other. The configuration of that is pretty much flexible based upon position of all the switches. It's looping, so it can do looping envelopes. It's very much like the maths in terms of its capabilities, but it's just a lot easier to understand because you've got the 2 ADSR, conventional ADSR envelopes. I think it looks lovely. I especially like the little caps on the knobs. If we put up a picture of it, do you have a still picture of it, Rant?
I do.
Kind of.
Yep.
I was expecting you do, because that's probably a good thing to talk about while I'm talking about it. It's a bit easier to understand the module if you've got the picture, right? Yep. Sorry, I've turned off my feedback for the show. So
Let's do
is it up?
something.
I can't.
Hang on. Let's do this. Bang. And instead of me, you can keep talking, Chris. I'll put the picture up on the left-hand
Okay.
side.
Yep. That's cool. Yep. Cool. So, hang on. I'll just do a get live on that one. If we can get back to having that thing. yeah, so I can't actually see it at the moment, but
I'll bring it up. Hang on, I
probably-
haven't quite got there yet.
No
Number
worries.
50.
Yeah,
That's why
so
I'm scrolling.
it's there goes my light. Unfortunately, my light just went. So you're going to have weird mood lighting. Don't know why that went. Yeah, so the thing I like about this is obviously it's a nice looking module. It's very, very nicely laid out because it's what we're familiar with. It's sort of like just normal ADSR envelope. The knobs down the side really is sort of where the ping engine works, because you've got two sort of little ping engines. One which is you can configure them to ping one envelope or the other envelope, or vice versa. You can set the time of each one independently, and you can set them to cycle or not cycle. So you can get sort of cascading envelopes where one envelope fires and then the other envelope fires. The ping engine also has a selectable output, so you can send any one of those pings to one of the outputs to ping something else. It's clever because it's got a VCA built into it, which is pretty cool, because and the way they've configured it is that you can effectively exploit it as a normal conventional VCA because it's normalized to 8 volts internally, so it'll actually produce an 8 volt envelope naturally if you don't do anything funky with it. But if you do put a voltage into the VCA input, the voltage starts affecting the actual envelope, which means you can do low speed CV stuff, or you can just put in your audio signal straight into it and it'll envelope your audio signal. And you've got 2 of them, so that's pretty cool. I think, hang on, just check the actual price of this one is $239 US, which is a bit expensive because it's Intellijel and the build quality is going to be really nice. But when you consider that the make noise maths is $290 US retail, it's actually not too bad value. I think it's pretty looking module. I think it might be the first. I've always liked Intellijel stuff, but I've never really opened the wallet, shall we say, to actually get them out, because there's always been a real barrier in terms of sort of getting you over the line, especially if you just want to experiment with something. Always go for the cheaper option. But this interests me because it would replace something which I really like but don't really like. That's my Ataxia module from Dreadbox, which is also a dual envelope looping envelope module, but it has paged controls. It doesn't have dedicated controls, and it's got a really stupid firmware that completely loses the settings of the other engine when you turn on and off the power. I think I might be interested in getting this one. We'll have to see how much it costs and how much stuff I sell of my own gear to perhaps afford it. It might be my first Intellijel module because, it's just I've become a little taken with it.
Nice. Good summary. Fantastic.
Sorry for the rambling.
That's fine.
It's smaller than math, so you save some HP as well.
I'm bringing up the maths because lots of people are drawing similarities to this and the maths. Now, let me just sort of put a few things to rest. The maths as an envelope generator just has rise and fall, whereas the Tangrams is a proper ADSR envelope generator. I personally think what would have been cool is if they added some of those extra envelope features like a hold and like an AH DS, some extra sort of bits and pieces that would have kind of really made this thing even better. But it does have the attenuators in it. The VCA thing I think is really important with an envelope generator. That the guy was going into the videos, going into a bit of detail about that. One of the things that a lot of people will notice when they start playing with modular is their envelope generators can cause sort of extra voltage going through, and you can get sort of overdriven filters or overdriven VCAs. So having that, bipolar or attenuverter type VCA in your EG is actually a really, really cool thing. And on the other side of it that I thought was really interesting is the all the cyclic controls you get. And you guys are probably just seeing that in the middle there. You've got your start and you've got all these kind of little toggle switches in the middle. So that will be kind of funky to play with. All right, that's enough from me and Chris. We'll go to you guys. Have a quick comment about that.
I find it hard to get excited about envelope generators. I'm glad, Chris,
important.
that you pointed out there's more. Excuse me, that there's more going on than just 2 ADSRs in a box and 2 VCAs.
Yeah.
VCA does it have audio in?
Basically,
so
2 VCAs, so
what
2
are the-
VCAs and built.
Right. Yeah.
It's quite cute.
Still haven't got my head around it properly. I've gone watch the video, but yeah, interesting envelopes. I mean, Grace has just bought the maths, so we've been having a play around with that and looking at what she can make that do. That's really quite fascinating. I sort of understand maths well, why it's useful more now than I ever did. I just thought it's just a bloody envelope generator, isn't it? What's going on? So. Yeah, another one to add to. Yeah, somebody's mentioned the Bifaco Rampage as well in the chat. Who was that? It was Mac. Another very similar sort of multifunction envelope function generator. And then of course there's the clone from Behringer, which don't buy.
The Abacus. yeah.
Yeah.
Just with the maths, it's actually a beautiful envelope. So that's one of the things that is so attractive about it. It's not just all the functions that it can do. I mean, it can be an LFO, it can do bouncing balls, all this kind of cool stuff with the maths, right? But it is actually a really, really clean envelope generator, and you can get some beautiful sounds out of your synths with it. And one of the things I liked about it was I got used to using it, right, as an EG, and then I started going back to a standard ADSR, and I'm like, I don't like that as much. I kind of wanted to go back. It kind of, in a way, it kind of reminds me, Andy, of the AR in a 2600. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, the maths is also not a copy of this thing in any way, because you could also create voltages with it and do all kinds of other weird stuff.
Yep.
In fact, if you guys are curious about, I think it's, drawing a blank on the guy's name. He does a lot of interesting videos with modules. Wish I could remember. But if you look at maths on YouTube, like 10 ways to use maths or something like that, he goes off the rails, all kinds of really clever tricks for it. So it's definitely way more than an envelope generator and a basic, CV generator. It's pretty nuts. I have mine. One of the first modules I bought just because you got to have a maths. You're in modular land, right?
Yeah.
And I use it about 5 times every time.
It's good marketing, boy.
Yeah. I've always resisted that hype. It's just part of the thing as well. I've never gotten
It's
a
cool.
maths
I
or
just need
maths-like
to,
thing.
These videos these guys put out really help you want to use it. So if you guys are curious, definitely check that out. It's a cool video for sure.
All right. Cool. Okay, so I mean, EGs are, I don't know. They're not
Not super
they're
sexy.
not that. Yeah, they're not that sexy. I mean, look what you can do with a lovely, picky sounding envelope generator to a really to me. One of the things that I like to find out more about when people are releasing EGs, and that is, how fast is it versus how slow is it? Because one of the things that does my head in with synths when you buy a synth is, like for example, the original Prophet 600 had absolutely shocking envelopes in it, right? And that's why they brought the Glee mod out for that thing, because it made it so much of a better synth. But if you had any idea how frustrating it can be not getting a long enough release or a really, really, really fast EG, those things are really important. So it'd be nice if Intellijel sort of let us know a little bit about that. a bit more
Well,
with their product.
It does have 3 different speed settings, up to 1 minute at the longest lengths.
There you
I
go.
have to admit I didn't look at the shortest one, but yeah, so
So
they've got 3
a
selectable
60-second
ranges
release, yeah. Yep.
at the end.
So that's not bad. 60-second release.
Yeah.
Can just watch that on your.
It's also
oscilloscope.
it's also an analog, considered an analog envelope. They don't have a CPU inside, so there's no firmware to upload. Oh God, it's an envelope. Why would you want one? But I'm thinking of doing something with envelopes and DACs and things like that anyway. But just put that aside. So yeah, if you're really looking for the particular sort of shape and curve that you get from analog envelopes, I think this one would certainly tick your boxes.
Yeah, there's some challenges with digital envelopes. If you start going down that rabbit hole, you'll know what I'm talking about. So a lot of people take shortcuts and they go to GitHub and download a C++ library and, oh, look, it's got an EG. I'll just use that. And before you know it, they've gone down the rabbit hole and challenges.
It's yeah.
Right.
One more quick thing I just remembered. Robin Vincent a while back was talking about alternatives to maths, probably like 2 years ago.
Yep.
There's a thing called the Delta V function generator. There's another one that kind of replaced it in a lot of ways. So smaller, different, but has some similar
it's
stuff.
starting to get really nerdy when you start using terms like function generator, because it reminds you of when you were back in high school and you had this old decrepit professor
and you guys, us FM nerds, going about Bessel functions and all this kind of stuff.
Going back to my earlier comment about Google Translate, I just like it to be nice and plain and understandable, please.
Oh, speaking of FM, I have been nerding out massively on the Synclavier this week. So I have been going absolutely nerd ballistic on it. And I'm talking about the original. I'm not talking about any sort of, modern attempts on that thing. Geez, I'd love to own one of those things. I would love to.
I've been watching Anthony Marinelli's videos.
Oh, yeah. It started with that. It started with his Michael Jackson "Beat It" tone with all the partials and that. That was very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't.
got UVI's the piece. It's pretty good.
I don't think Michael Jackson went to anywhere near to that anal amount of. I think he styled up a couple of patches and just tweeted, "Oh, that sounds good. Bang, we'll go with that." Or maybe the guy that was with him at the time, PSC or someone.
Have you looked at the Benj's what's that show called? The Meme Tune Show. Yeah, if one of his digital synths shows does go into the Synclavier quite a bit.
Yeah.
You might want
I did see that,
out
And there's a question for the ages. How do you pronounce it? Because everyone pronounces it differently.
Well, ask one of the original people.
Yes.
Yeah, most of the net guys call it Synclavier. So
No, well, Cameron says Synclavier.
I call it Synclavier.
He does? Oh, I thought
He does.
Oh.
Yeah. But
Which
it's Synclavier or Synclavier.
Probably the Australian tang in my voice.
I don't think there's a
I
right
get pulled
word.
up on it.
Synclavier.
Yeah, ask the linguist.
Synclavier.
Ask the resident linguist here. I mean,
well, in German it's
go-
Clavier, right?
A clavier is a piano, so
I've
Synclavier.
heard that Andy's a cunning linguist.
Yeah.
Wait, don't
has
be
he not
silly,
heard?
Robbie.
He's never heard that before, Robbie. He's never heard that.
I tell him all the time.
There's even a Rammstein song called Clavier. So.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not shy of mucking around with FM. Anyway, I think there's one more thing that we need to show, and it's not a big thing, so let's not worry about it too much. And that is this. Now, this is shipping, so that they can announce this now. It's an audio to USB interface for your eurorack. It is 2 channels, so left and right for stereo people. And what it does is it appears. So anyone who's owned one of those cheaper Behringer USB mixers, right? You will know exactly what I'm talking about. It'll appear. I'm pretty sure they're class compliant as well, as just a left and right channel in your DAW. That actually might be handy for some people, but there's always an asterisk on the end of what I say. But why the heck they were sort of talking about releasing eurorack mixers a few weeks ago. Do you guys remember we were talking about that? Why can they not put that inside a eurorack mixer at the very least, right? So it has a USB digital audio interface output on it at the very least, so you could mix it down into your DAW or plug it into your Akai MPC or something like that. But even better, they've got Behringer have literally been pumping out mixers longer than I can remember. They've got the technology. Why can't they just make a Eurorack mixer which does multi-channel digital outputs? Why can't they do that? That's instead of doing this crap.
Because nobody else has done it, so they can't copy it.
Oh! Wow! Something broke.
Saucer of milk. Sorry.
Anyway, this thing's probably $50. I don't know what it's going to be. So there's not really a lot we need to say about it, hey guys. But someone might go, hey, I need one of those. Give Oz at Expert Sleepers a call. He does plenty of these cool modules, and he does a bloody good job of them too. So, yeah. Right, moving on.
Charges a lot.
Yeah. Now, I got to get something queued up. You guys are going to be, rubbing your hands together. This is really cool. I bet you guys didn't even know this was going to happen today. So, why can't I find it though?
Because it's not going to happen.
No, it will. It will, but it's disappeared on me.
Down a bit. Down a bit. Left a bit.
No.
Oh, yes, we heard you, Eddie. Just a little bit.
Oh, Eddie. Actually,
So,
Eddie, I can hear you.
how loud?
Oh, quiet. And I can't make
Very
you any
quiet.
louder. But you can come up.
From here.
Keep going up.
So, just
Keep going.
well,
Keep going.
hello.
Keep going.
Well, now
Bit more.
a bit more. Oh,
Keep going.
that's gonna be true. Give me a second. Because
Fine.
1 2 1 2.
Good.
What about now?
Keep going.
Good enough.
Fine.
Good enough, but yeah, you could probably keep going.
Just one last thing I could do. Don't think. No, I shouldn't touch that. That could be a mess. What about now? Nope. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, Eddie.
All right. Eddie,
Lost. Yep.
go. What? Before it disconnects, say your stuff. Talk. Go. They can all see you.
1 2 1.
We can hear you. Go. Talk.
Yep.
Go.
Talk. Okay.
Hurry.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
All right. You can talk about the PP1 if you like, or you can talk about the other thing that you wanted to talk about before.
No, I mean about the Uno Synth. It was just a very stupid point that from my screen the Uno screen looked a little blurry, and I was about to ask, is it because the protection film is still on? So it's
Yes.
such a stupid detail.
I rarely take my screen protectors off.
No, I'm the same. I just wanted to make it clear that those screens are usually way more
Oh yeah, it's an OLED. Yeah.
clear that what appear on the screen.
Yeah.
It's not the device's fault.
All right.
It's our, at least my own OCD thing.
So,
I mean,
Eddie.
Yep.
Eddie. Talk about this thing. All right. You got yours now, haven't you?
Stay on
yes, I do.
Okay. So let's hear your opinion of this.
Okay, my opinion of this is unfinished because my whole experience is only 2 hours and something. I did a live stream on last Sunday, and I'm planning to do another one this Sunday as well, because I want to put all my process with it, all my experience with it. I want to put it out there for everybody who also bought it. I'm very impressed with the tracking. When it tracks, it's really fast. I'm really impressed that without switching the bending switch on, already tracks pitch variations very well, as well as I'm used with my Bosch GT100. Keep referring to this unit because that's the first unit I ever had that had that type of technology inside. It could track voltage from the quarter inch and make it MIDI on a to my experience, extremely accurate and fast-paced, almost even better than the GR55, which is a dedicated unit for synth making and requires a specific pickup. So that was what filled me with hope that this unit could do at least as well, and is doing so far. What I found that I didn't like in my first and only experience is that some notes are starting like not playing the envelope was flawless when it started, how loud, for how long, that's flawless. But I was playing, let's say I was playing a C and the thing was playing like a G, then I play a C sharp and I play the same G, and then the A and then play the same G. So something is, at least in my unit, something's off with the pitch tracking. Because one of the things, and I've been checking the manual that I could not find anywhere, is how much, what is the range of the unit that it would listen to or it would reproduce. If it does MIDI, theoretically, it's all 127 notes. So way, like 4 times more than the actual guitar can do. Guitar, even well, unless you go 8 string, it's barely 2 octaves and a half you have of range. Which is another thing, I'll put it to the test with my 7 string, how low and high can do when, as soon as I can find if it actually can track every single note in the fretboard, which, as I said, makes finding with it. I got really shocked, kind of like in what's going on when I saw your demo of it, because, and please forgive me, I'm not making fun of you. I was throwing my guitar at the screen when I saw you plug the guitar in the output, what is meant to be an output. And it worked. And it worked as well as when you plug it in the input.
Yeah.
And that was the what? Say what? So obviously it's just a hardwired connection. There's no guts, no electronics.
It's a drive-through, yeah. That's what it's supposed to be for, yeah.
So
that was weird.
That also proves there's not even protection diodes from for any spark coming from the amplifier back into the input. So it might
Which means it's got crosstalk. That's what it means.
Yeah, kind of. Apart from that, I should just answer your questions if I know the answer, because that's all the knowledge I have so far. But I'm gonna go really deep on that. I'm planning plugging all sorts of stuff in it and pushing it beyond its boundaries.
Well, I mean, for me, I was kind of just more interested in knowing what your thoughts were about it. Because, you know, I knew you were getting it. You didn't get it in time that weekend. That's fine. And look, I'll be honest, I haven't touched mine at all since last Saturday. I have not. I mean, I think I think I just unplugged a whole bunch of stuff, and I tried something and I didn't. I tried seeing if it would do like a gate loop. So like using the synth as an input to feed itself, do you know what I mean? Like, because this has got 2 outputs on it, and I wanted to kind of see if it was clever, and it wasn't. It's
not really audio related. It's putting a CV out of.
Well, the oscillators are constant, so these make a constant output. So if you look at
but it's not like an audio loop. It's not the same. They're not moving at the same time. It's getting a wave. And it's just putting out a voltage. So
they're just constant. They're constant outputs, right? These things. So I was feeding it into that, and then back through the envelope generators and the gate, you know, and then back in through here. And I just wanted to see if it did any kind of weird stuff, and it didn't. It was actually pretty. It was pretty stupid, actually. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was, you know, you never know. Sometimes these things could do things that you don't expect, and But yeah, anyway.
I'm all about that.
So
yeah,
we'll put this out to the chatties. So chatties, if you've got any questions about the PP1, which we showed last week, please throw abuse at me for doing the wrong thing. But I did eventually plug it into the right connection, and I don't think it made much of a difference. Anyway, so
that's my point. That's I'm not having a go on you. I'm having a go at Behringer, and why is that happening? It should be at least a couple of a diode to prevent any signal coming from that input to the right one.
Speaking of which, though, there is two. So I chucked some photos up on Discord last week, and there are two trim pots on the back, and Chris and I are trying to work out what they're for, but we think one of them is some sort of gain, potential CV type gain trimming thing, and the other one would probably we're just guessing, but would probably be to do with pitch, I would say, as well, some sort of tuning thing, no doubt. So that's our guess.
Expecting that info like rain, like happily. I need that info because another thing I noticed is I tested with a passive guitar, no preamp, but with humbuckers, not powerful ones, but humbuckers at least. So it's not like it's the lowest of the range. I ran out of gain basically. I had to crank the gain all the way up so it wouldn't chop notes off basically. And for the same thing I said about I don't know how well is or what's the range of tracking or the accuracy of the tracking. If one of those trim pots has anything to see with fine tuning, because I've read and I assume there is some quantization. So it needs to know if to go for a C or C sharp. It needs to know what to do there for the MIDI. So if there's some fine tuning on that, I'm telling it, oh no, this is still a C or this is a C sharp.
Yep.
When to do the sharp, I'm really looking forward to that info. So thank you for looking for it.
Well, so what I've worked out, and we can tell you that there's an ARM Cortex CPU in there, which Behringer use for heaps of stuff. So they've probably got a massive, shelf full of ARM Cortex. I think it's an M7, if I remember rightly. And that's just a little 32-bit CPU. It's got a tiny little bit of onboard memory and cache. So when they first announced this product, it was rumored that they were going to be using an algorithm from the TC Helicon voice range of products, and that's how they were getting that really clean, instant sort of voice to pitch tracking and to CV. I don't know if it's true because I've never even heard anyone sort of acknowledge that.
I would assume it is. Yeah.
I reckon, to be fair, I would say Behringer would probably put a TC Helicon logo on this thing if it really did. So my gut feeling is maybe they haven't. Maybe they've used some other code that they've borrowed somewhere, or I don't know, open source GitHub, or I don't know. But you'd think that they would put the TC Helicon logo on it.
Somebody will be able to tell us, but hopefully later. But first of all, my train of thought is, if you have it, why not use it? It's in the group. The code is there. The intelligence is there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best ones in the market, followed by Roland/Boss. And in this particular application, Boss beat to the game to Roland. That's why. I assume I'm just thinking logically. That's why Roland at one point after the 55 said, okay, Boss is progressing. They have this algorithm for their machines. Is way better than what we can do. So let's just move the whole line to Boss. And that's another reason. This same tech is what is gone into the JM800, which it's another point of inflection. And GT100, to my knowledge, has been on the market at least 7 years. So that tech was brewing back in the back burner for Roland/Boss for that long. The other and they probably just retro-engineered what TC Helicon has been doing since mid-90s, because the Helicon products have been out that long, and they've been tracking vocals with pristine precisions ever since. It's not a 2000s technology. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Another thing that when the penny dropped is like, and I wonder why, because you said there's an ARM Cortex CPU inside, and we've just been, or we are still coming out of chip shortage, and one of the chips that has been failing in the supply chain is the ARM processors, probably because, well, not just making this up, but probably Apple is hoarding them all. But
different line of ARM, but yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that.
So just quickly before you go on, so the thing that I wanted to make people clear about, that I found that it was disappointing with it, is if you plug a guitar in and you strum a chord in your guitar, into MIDI is monophonic.
It's always monophonic. That was my mistake. I said that I thought it would be polyphonic or at least duophonic. No, it's been monophonic, which is exactly the technology. It's in GT100. It's only monophonic.
Yeah.
It's very quick. It's very sharp. It makes very little mistakes compared to the hexaphonic 13-pin GK system, but it's only monophonic. It's only for the SY line 1, 300, 200, 1000 that they claim they could do the same tech on polyphonic. You can play chord and it will track the whole chord. I only had 5 minutes experience with that technology on the shop, and it didn't really sound like a polyphonic synthesizer.
Yeah, right.
It felt like when you're doing one note and suddenly adding harmonics to the note. That's what it sounded like.
So let me just quickly finish this. So what happens in this little device is, and knowing how the CPU works, it has a very small amount of cache on that CPU. They may have extra RAM on there, but I couldn't tell. I don't think it does. So the way they've programmed this is that when it takes the input of sound and it's collected all the pitch notes, it's collecting them. This is starting to get a little bit like computer science here, but I believe it's collecting them in an array, right? So the first harmonic that it hears to the last harmonic that it hears, it's collecting them in an array. And then when you see, because the way it operates in MIDI, it's like, and you guys probably would have seen me do it last week when I played a chord. It was just punching out notes like on the piano keyboard, and it was doing it pretty quick, but it was punching them out really, really and it was like remembering every single note of that chord being played through and all the harmonics as well. And it's kind of, it was almost kind of like, why would you do it that way? It's kind of like, that's weird. That is not even musical. That's like what an engineer would do, right? Because he, like an engineer that has no idea about music. That's to me how it came across, and I just thought, geez, that is bizarre. Have you noticed that with yours?
Yes, to the point that I'm gonna make a big effort on using it in a song, because it's the closest thing you can get to noise, white noise, aleatory on synthesizers in the ARP. Damn it.
Sample and hold.
Sample and hold. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's the closest thing you can get in sample and hold, output in MIDI and CV. So if you just, basically it's so fast on tracking and outputting MIDI out that the spectrum of the harmonics going on and up in volume and in pitch, he just thinks that you're playing extremely fast, because that's the best he can do, because he doesn't know the rest of the algorithms that Ron apply to the GR units to tell the unit, oh no, if you get this sequence in this proportion of this volume of harmonics, that's not notes, that's a chord. So ignore it. Just get the strongest and the first and stick to that. That's I assume the type of code Behringer didn't bother with, because A, it might be Roland's proprietary, and B, it might take him years to copycat or just retro-engineer what Roland has been doing for the last 40.
Yeah. So
And
it's
my
basically just unpacking what it reads.
It's
And
confusing
doing it-
harmonics or
but
notes.
it's doing it in a way that's uncontrolled, right? And that's the thing that's kind of bizarre about it. So it's
Unguided.
it's completely different to how it reads it, how it outputs it. So that's the weird thing about it.
That's what you would read on a spectrum analyzer if you plug a guitar chord, because you're hearing the harmonics from the strings with fundamental and their chain of harmonics, the harmonics from the wood and the harmonics from the pickup. That's why the system goes mental, and that's why the GR systems have
that's
been
right.
failing.
But an engineer has gone, I want it to be in this order. That's what I'm saying. So someone has gone, not necessarily what the order that we would hear as humans, but an engineer has gone, I want it to be in this order. It's probably like from low to high or high to low, but it's probably something basic like that.
No. It's more random than that, because if you plug the same chord twice the same, you don't get the same sequence.
Oh, really?
It's about harmonics. It's frequencies in the spectrum analyzer, and that this is a note. Oh, this is a note. Oh, this is a note. Oh, this
How
is
do
a
you
note.
think? How do you think it's picking it? Do you think it's picking it on the amplitude of each harmonic?
Yeah.
So it's picking the loudest harmonic first.
The first one is the note,
Right.
but if you get extras going down in volume, the ones still peaking, it has the new notes.
See,
It's
Robbie,
going
we're talking
like-
synclaviers again. The loudest harmonic to the quietest harmonics.
The point I wanted to do with the processor, with the chip, is the fact that why Behringer puts out one unit with a very rare and scarce chip on a very short
say it's
term
rare.
from announcement
wouldn't say it's rare.
to release.
Nah, I wouldn't say it's rare. Those Cortexes are pretty dime a dozen.
Okay.
Hey,
But
complete craziness thought here. Robbie, seriously, I just about, like my brain just tripped over itself. Imagine if we were able to capture those harmonics and then put them into a synclavier in the exact way that it reads it. So you've got, you know how you've got your percentages of, of your harmonic amplitude, right? That's going in. And then so you could capture those and put them in as partials and have your sine wave, and they're all different little partials coming through. We could be onto something here, boys.
I'm pretty sure it's been done.
Maybe. No, he's not. No.
It's muted on the camera. I can see it on the screen.
Oh, that's not me that's muted him.
Oh, Robbie.
He's muted himself.
Oh, take a drink. Oh, take a drink. So what I was saying was,
We're drifting off there, right?
it's kind of what the Fairlight did with its FFT. It would
yes.
analyze all of those different harmonics, and it was how they wanted the synth to work to replicate real acoustic instruments, and they never got it to work properly, and they never did. That's why they then decided to cheat and sample. But you can get some really good sounds out of it. So.
Yeah.
Oh no, forget it. Yes, they did. I was wondering if at least at the beginning, developing the Fairlight technology, did they have to stick to sample single notes, or they also sample full chords? And obviously, we have the famous sample orchestra hit, so it's a full. There's no more chord than that. So they did.
Wagoo in chat is saying that it's pretty normal for pitch trackers to do that. It kind of jumps around randomly. Charmonics. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, any questions in chat, make sure you highlight either mine or F Rose or Fro's name.
Yes, please.
And we'll get to those soon. All right, but what I want to do is I want to surprise you guys with this.
Oh, wow. Of course, we can't hear anything.
No?
Yes, people, it's been a hell of a long time, and I forgive you if you probably think, what the? Because we haven't done this segment for so long. And out of the blue, this angel, his name is Mark, has decided to provide us with a video this week. So it hasn't got anything to do with me. I sat back and I thought, I'll just put it out there, and then about 5 years later, someone brings a video to me. No, just kidding. We have got Name That Synth. Now, just to run through a few things so you guys remember how it works, you are going to listen and watch a video, and there will be a point in time where you'll think, I'm going to know what that is, and I'm going to type in chat what my guess is. Now, I will take your first guess. If you want to have 50 other guesses after that, it's your first guess that's your entry. The rest are all just whatever you know, chatting, basically. So I'll take your first guess. And you've got until the timer countdown finishes before we will end any more entries in. Now, the sponsor of this segment is Plugin Guru, so whoever wins may be the person that made the video because you guys didn't guess it, or it may be one of you guys who guessed it. So in that case, whoever wins will get a copy of Plugin Guru. Now I forgot what it's called. Refresh my memory, guys. Unify. That's it. You get a copy of Unify from Plugin Guru. So big thanks to for Skippy for that. Now you've probably completely forgotten about me. He probably doesn't even remember me. Nah, he will. He'll be fine. Right. Are you guys ready? Who's ready? We're all ready? Okay. Here we go. Now I'm going to mute all the input cameras so that you will just hear the video, okay? So let me mute. Give you another 20, 30 odd seconds, whatever it is. So put your guesses in, people in the chat. I reckon most of you should get this. Time is up. I'll give you another couple of seconds while I type in time is up into chat. There you go. Time is up. There we go. There you go. You've seen it now. Now, the entries that are above where I've written time is up count. And the first entry that you wrote, if you've done multiple entry, counts. Okay. Who is ready for the reveal? This is cool, this segment. I love this segment. Here we go. Suspense. There we go. The Dreadbox Nymphs. Yes.
6 voice. He fooled me by using only 2.
Okay, so let's see who got it. Let's see who got it. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go?
I think synthetic is the closest.
Ooh.
Yeah, nobody actually got it.
Nobody's got it. So guess who wins?
That's a tough one, yeah.
Guess who wins?
Who said? Mac said Typhon. It was the first one in with. With
Typhon's
Dreadbox.
not correct though.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No.
I got it as a Dreadbox. I got the wrong one.
So the video maker gets it.
Yep. Now, if you're wondering who the video guy is, it's Mark Cedrin. You've got a YouTube channel, so go check it out. I will link this in to the blog article which goes up. Well done, Mark. Well done. See, and he completely came out of the blue over on Discord during the week. What I liked about it is he never asked me any questions. He just rocks up with the video, says, "Here it is. It's unlisted. Play it on your show." And everything he did was to perfection. I thought the way he produced the video, he said took him ages to do it, but to his defense, he's never done this sort of stuff before. So it was kind of more learning what to do, filming a synth and stuff like that. And he found it enjoyable. So there you go. One thing I'll tell you guys is if you do a Name That Synth video, one thing that you find is that it gets you back into that whatever that synth is that you've chosen to do it on. It really makes you discover it better, or rediscover it better. So it's worthy exercise. Because I did one on JDXI. When was it, last year? And I ended up putting the JDXI in one of my tracks in my new album because of it, because of the Name That Synth. So here's a bit of a hint. Right. Well done, Mark. Awesome. What did the chatty say?
Yeah, good one, Mark.
Well done.
Max said, this is just about the only one he never bought. Yeah. What probably gave it away, to be fair? Maybe not. I was going to say that the reverb on it would probably give it away. So go back and watch it again, because I feel, and don't forget it is 6 voice too, but the reverb probably gives it away. I actually wouldn't mind getting myself one of those, because they're pretty cool. You liked them too, didn't you, Brooksy, when they first came out?
Yeah, I had a play on it at Gearfest last year, and also the new version of the Erebus and the Nix. They were there. But they weren't there this year, or I didn't see them. So
who knows why? But big fan of Dreadbox. I think we're all big fans of Dreadbox, so we shouldn't forget about them. They're still pumping out some eurorack modules. I mean, I think they released a couple at Super Booth this year, so
their white line filter was the first one I had that had resonance CV.
Whoa, geez, you're coming in hot there, Andy.
Oh,
yeah, the whole range of new polyphonic modules, which is quite funky.
Yeah,
and the new versions of the Erebus and the Hades, isn't it? Not Nix,
Hades.
The Hades.
Yeah.
They're
the
eurorack modules in themselves. Again, you can take those out, won't come in your rack.
Yeah, and that's cool because you do a Name That Synth about a synth, and the next thing you know, we start talking about the manufacturer.
Yeah, that's good.
Polyphon's great. It's quite mini-divey, but it's nice.
That's what it was. And they do guitar pedals as well. We should probably just head on over to their website.
What you bought now? What you bought?
So yeah. Anyway.
Oh, sorry. You meant Redbox also do guitar pedals. Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, they do. Right now, we need to get through the last segment of the day, which is this one.
Cool.
And then we can get into some real discussions after this. Which one's gonna come up first? Is one come up first? Andy, over to you, buddy.
Yeah. So it's funny because I have the original EMX and ESX, but the ESX, these things, they have issues with the encoders over time. There's also a known issue with there's a conductivity issue under the ribbon and the little potentiometer slider there. So there's a hack for that people have figured out to make it work better. But long story short, I already had one of these. I found one at my favorite local store the other day for a pretty good price because they've gone way up in price, but not this much. This guy's nuts. He says you change the goddamn tubes in it.
I think he's a bit Tilly funkin' in the head.
Yeah. And the other thing about these, which is funny, is they are using real tubes in this, but there's always people questioning whether the tubes are actually doing anything or they're just for show.
Don't even know what he's
I'm not being a tube expert. I don't really know, but they do sound. When you engage the tube circuit, it does sound interesting.
Well, what is it? $5,750 US for an Electribe. How many Electribes could you get for that?
$1,500 one.
At least 10.
So there are 2 rip-offs online.
Oh, okay. I mean, how much of the Telefunken, tubes anyway. They're not that much. 30
okay.
bucks.
Telefunken expensive.
No. If you get NOS Telefunkens 2FX7, it could go all the way out to £100 each.
They're pretty funky.
They were very good. But if you can find NOS I like never used that are not microphonic from factory, which shouldn't be, they reach very crazy prices. Even more expensive for power amp tubes. Telefunken ELF34, you can talk upwards of £500 per just one piece.
Yeah. Well, Brooksy, did you ever like that model of the Electribe? Oh, he's muted.
Never played it. Never had to go on one of those ones. The little bitty early ones, yes, and the modern ones I've got down here, but not that
one either.
version.
Yeah, same as me. So we had the original ones, and then we kind of had a hiatus from it. Then we got back to the twos. Yeah, my two's sitting on the floor.
I never owned the original ones. I just knew people that had got them. So
yeah, one of those.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, those ones.
I've got the green, the blue, and the red, and a silver. The silver's like a Mark II.
Do you know why the tube craze came into Korg products?
Be quick.
Because they all were released around the same time on the same 5-7 year lapse. It's because Korg acquired VOX Fox amplifiers from UK.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yep, I remember them actually announcing that too. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. This one was sent in to me a while ago, and I forgot all about it. But geez, look at the price of the CS80 now. This is Australian dollars, so halve it for pounds. It's still a massive amount of money.
Kent said that the last one that sold at auction went for about 38. So the price is becoming more as if 38.
One went for 18 last week.
Is that all? 18? Was that the one that was all bashed up?
Yeah, the condition wasn't great, we'll be honest, but it did go for 18.
Magnification, please.
Has anyone sold one for £70,000 or?
Oh yeah, they have, yeah.
Wow, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. I mean, that one had the that CS80 sort of upgrade, thing with it. It doesn't make it, let's trade the Lamborghini in for it, sort of thing, does it?
You think the Escalade is bad if you could, or if they are actually providing the ownership history of the actual unit, it could multiply those prices.
Well, there's not that many of them. Do you know what I mean?
That's my point. So
700-ish, isn't it?
All the same ones.
There's 700 of them, ish, right? And out of that, we don't even know
Kent's
how many.
got most of them in his garage.
Yeah. But someone decent has probably touched each one of those 700, because there's not that many of them.
At one point or another.
Yeah.
So remember, I think Kent said that even Vangelis, when recorded, he was in rotating 2 or 3 units because of maintenance.
Yeah. We know he had 2 of his own, because I remember reading that. But when he did the multi-track suggestion album, what one was that? Is it See You Around? I don't know, whatever that album was called.
Sorry.
Anyway, when he did that album, there were 4 in the studio when he did that album, and that might have been tuning reasons, breaking down reasons. 2 of them were his, 2 of them were the studio. Who knows what the reasons were? But I read somewhere that there were 4. And
all of them.
You wouldn't want lightning to strike that place when there's 4 of them there.
Well, there would have been. Out of all seriousness, there would have been a massive amount of money of synthesizers in that studio, because he had a System 100 in there. He had what else did he had? Moogs, memory, MIDI Moogs, memory Moogs.
Wouldn't it be faster to say which synthesizers did he not have? Wouldn't be that faster than trying to make the list.
This one. No, he never had this one, because I had this one from you.
Exactly.
So he's never had that one.
That's one.
Mate, he's I can tell you he's never had a Behringer Pro VS Mini. I can tell you he's never had that.
But rumors around he put his hands on a deep mine.
He has. I've seen the photo. I don't know if it was Photoshop, but yeah.
Well, you have to put your hands on it when you throw it into the sky.
Come on then, Chris. Whip it out
When you
for
chuck it out the
everybody
window.
to see.
No, the deep mine wasn't too
just
bad.
pull shit out of
The
it.
Midas guys had their hand in that, so that was a pretty good. That was a pretty good one.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but there were lots of synths that he didn't own. Like there was a period where I think we talked about this before, where he was kind of a pretty big Roland guy. So he was down at the whole JV, that whole sort of part of, if you guys have seen that photo which I've shown where it shows all the MIDI control connection things in his studio, and that was all connected to those Roland JV rack mounted systems. So he loved that sound.
My question would be, you said that there's many synthesizers he never had, as in he never owned or he never even tried, because I think he must have tried a little bit like, I assume, a little bit like Stevie Wonder. He might have tried, at least for 5 minutes, everything on the market, at least anything worth trying. But owning is a different business. It's keeping them and storing them in his own space.
Well, you think about it, like, how hard would it be to get good at playing a certain synthesizer if you only had it for 5 minutes? Do you know what I mean? Like this, because there's so many out there, especially nowadays, right? There's so many synthesizers to choose from that you really wouldn't be able to be a master of them all. Like we would, romantically dream that Vangelis was a master of them all, right? Because he probably wouldn't take long to master them, but you just don't have the time of the day, do you? When you think about it, I mean, we'd all love to fill our studios up with every synth known to mankind.
But do you mean master on playing it or master on programming it, on making
well,
batches?
either, both. I mean, in some degrees, some synth players were terrible at programming them, but they were amazing at playing them. It doesn't make them bad. That's
I believe this is the case. He was a master of performing, but after one point, probably when digital era got extremely complicated, probably JB and beyond.
There was a master at programming the CS80. I can give you that.
But once again, the ease of I see everything and I tweak everything compared to, this button, no, this is, what page was this? Compare that. That's why I understand why he did all the full console with all the synths with just icons to do the changes he wanted to do, and somebody else adapting whatever module it was attached to the console to perform what the icon in the bar was doing. So my point of the way I see Vangelis is he was a master on performing and recognizing the good sound. It's like, okay, show me your factory presets. I don't like it. Something else. Do you got anything in it that I like? No? Then I don't bother. I move because, as you said, there's too many to choose from. So you need to be more critical, quicker. If you can impress me in the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that. I know that he was very into computers. He loved to tinker with DAWs and MIDI and connecting stuff up and layering. I mean, layering was his big thing. He'd play. Yes. He'd like to play sort of notes, and then work on, the intonation of different keys triggering different things across his keyboard. So splitting and layering and things like that. He was big on that. He loved doing that.
He was a master.
Yeah. So that would have required. I mean, you can't just get a person in. I'll get the guy in that's better at programming this synth, and then I'll get another guy that's better at doing the MIDI. He would have had a massive amount of knowledge with this stuff.
Yes, but would it have had the time to put it into that instead of just writing music? Thought comes to my head: Hans Zimmer, or even Junkie XL. He does a lot of it, but it still needs a lot of, I don't think minion is the right word. Need assistance to get close to the ballpark to what he's looking for.
In the latter
every
half,
single
in the latter
one.
part of his life, he didn't do it, touring and things like that. So he spent a lot of time in his studio, and he wrote that Juno album before he died, and he spent ages on that, and he poured his heart and soul into it. And I heard that he wasn't 100% happy with it when it was released, either. So he was very critical of his own work, and
Sadly, he never found a good use for the Funny Cat preset. So.
Or the gunshot, the police siren, various other GM sounds. Yeah.
Did he ever use GM? I would love to know if he ever used GM.
Oh,
that would have been funny.
I'm sure. I would pay for to know that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if you ever sort of let like something like Apple Music or Spotify just choose for you through the algorithm what it thinks that you should listen to, it's kind of interesting because like the other day, for some reason my phone was playing music, and my wife goes, what is your, like, because I've got the watch as well, right? And she's like, what's on your watch? And it was like Edgar Free's, one of his solo albums, and I'm like, I haven't even heard that track yet, and it's playing it and I can't even hear it. So I had to like pause it and then go and listen to it in with some headphones on, and I thought, wow, this stuff's really cool. And then the next track was a Vangelis track, and then the next track was I don't know, something. I think it was Tubular Bells, and I'm like, wow, this is going all over the shop. So, sometimes it's a good way of discovering music again, or tracks that you don't listen to from some of the greats, right? And when you listen to them,
that's how it should work.
You will discover all these sounds. You go, I know what that synth is. I know what synth is. I know what that is. And this is what we do now, right? We just like spot that sound. Oh, wonder how he did that. Oh, that's the Eventide H9000.
Darlene, turn the Jupiter 8 up,
Wondering.
please. I'm listening to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
plenty of wondering, not much recognising, I'm afraid.
Oh, you kind
From
of
my
listen
name
to
that
it and
synth
enjoy it.
guesses.
What was your guess, by the way? I can't remember what your guess was.
Oh, I think I said something silly like a sub 37 because I was fooled by the duophonic 2 notes. I thought, oh, there's 2 notes. What's the synth that's 2 notes?
Yeah.
The knob did
It
look
sounds a bit
Moog-ish,
thin
too.
though. I don't think it's a Moog. Yeah, it didn't
You
sound
did
very
way
much.
better.
I regretted it as soon as I typed it in.
I just got confused because I saw sliders and I thought, oh, it's an ARP. But then I saw the knob. It said, oh, it's a Moog. Who is mixing Moog and ARP? That's all I got.
Well, if you do want to do a Name That Synth entry, this is all you have to do. Head on over to my website and then hover your mouse over this and then find Name That Synth. In fact, you could probably even just click on it over here. Bang. And that tells you everything you need to know. So it tells you how to play, how to contribute, and all that sort of stuff. And it even gives you an example video, and then you can log your details, and then you can fill out the form if you've won as well. So do that, and you might be on the show winning a copy of Unify from Plugin Guru, which is pretty cool.
Piece of software.
Yeah, definitely. If you like layering, hey, layering, do that. Right, so we've got through all the segments. Now it's up to you guys. Do you guys want to talk about anything? I could probably give another couple of minutes before we finish up. Yes. Oh, unboxing. Yes, it was. I knew it was. I've just forgotten about it. Let's do that.
There you go.
Okay.
That's a good unboxing.
I may have to turn on some harsh lights at some point so that you can actually see. Actually, you can see pretty well, can't you? Okay.
Yeah. Just don't let it fall
box.
out.
It's not white. It's sort of a recycled sort of cardboard type vibe. So good credentials there on the environment. Ooh, it's white.
It's white.
And it comes with a little. Thank you.
Oh,
Digital, nice little
cute.
thing. And then it's got something. Strange enough, in Japanese. That's not really a surprise. do we have? What do we have? Non-volatile chemicals. No, that's me.
New synth smell.
Sniffing the products.
Oop, and there's nothing to pull off.
Huh? Well, that's weird.
Yeah, I know. Normally they leave little thingies on, but not this
I don't
time.
know if you should. We should be saying that on.
Well, as long as you've got the vision, it's not naughty anymore. Right. So there you go. Ooh, needs batteries. Well, you guys chat amongst yourselves while I get some batteries.
All right, we'll do that.
Works off a Volca power supply as well if you've got one of those to hand.
I do, but I wanted to make sure I didn't void the warranty by putting in real batteries first. Otherwise, you turn it on, put in your plug. Oh, was it my adapter? I like to do it with batteries first.
Good thinking. Go safe.
We've all done the crazy
these are
factory
quality.
sniff test before. I'm sure we've all done it.
We've all done it, yes.
Well, I've done it with guitars and amplifiers, but never with a synth.
Well, I'm
Job lot of these on eBay, not eBay, Amazon. They're Volca type adapters. Just bought a job lot to do all of my livens.
I don't know when I'm going to get
Fun little trick.
my witty stuff.
When I try to hook a bunch of my vocals together, I bought one of those little vocal snakes. The guy makes them on Etsy. And you can power off with one power supply. You can power up to like 7 or 8 vocals.
Yep. I got one of those too.
Would anyone be surprised if I said I made one of those?
Exactly. Yeah. Easy.
They wouldn't be
I'm just
surprised. It's the bloody maker again. He makes his own stuff.
They're just wires. Come on. Relax.
It's a different colour underneath. Did you know it's a different colour underneath?
Yep.
It's two-toned.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Um,
Now I'm just
Robbie's
milking it.
caressing his own there.
Now I better read the actual...
Just wait for my ELZ1, ELZ, I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's going to be good. That's gonna be good.
I'm waiting for my witty stuff. It's been 11 days since I've ordered it.
Oh, that's annoying.
Are you in the first ELZ batch, Robbie?
Yes, well, pre first batch.
Hopefully it's not floating in the Indian Ocean with Darren's CD
Guess I like.
and some
It's
like
probably gonna
Malaysian
pass
airline
that.
flights. And
Well, you know, one of those container ships hit the Bay Bridge one time. It didn't sink, but it did some damage. So you could lose containers in the bay.
all right, here we go.
This is going to be a big anticlimax if it doesn't work, isn't it?
Here we go.
Mhm.
Full screen.
Ta-da.
Lights up.
Da-da-da-da-da.
No smoke.
He's
See, I'm much
dying
better
to
than
open
Robbie
this.
at these things. They even left the volume down.
Cool. Okay, has a
You
speaker.
bought
as well.
something that makes sound.
My Windows computer is starting.
That's a Brianino right there. Yeah.
That's the first thing it does. Sounds like Windows XP.
Wow. I think that's primarily the reason why they have the little speaker, so that it's easy to test. Yeah, it's working. Send it out. It is rather good. In the dark, it is rather pretty. I do
It
have to
is.
admit. It is rather pretty. Oh well. It'll
Much-
be at least
much
5
easier
weeks
using the
before I can
XFM.
make a decent sound out of it now.
I thought you were going to go into like a Dr. Seuss book or something, just then in the dark. We've found Clark in the park.
Starting to alliterate. Yeah, it's accidental
With
alliteration.
Darren's
It's a disease.
Leave
Well,
my
that-
park bench
you know,
stuff
I
out
just-
of it.
I was going to say I'm going to have to find a park bench now. Otherwise, I can't start until I found one because it's a park bench compatible. So
It is PPC.
All right.
well,
So what does this
I'll
thing
just
do?
switch it off then.
It's a lo-fi. What does it do? Come on, tell us what it does. I know what it does, but tell everyone else. Be a good boy.
It's a granular and normal sampler, although it's only got one single sample channel and then the granular engine
Yeah.
parallel. It has analog filters. I believe they are analog filters, aren't they, Robbie?
I don't think they are.
No, I think it's all
Oh,
digital,
okay, I'll
mate.
shut up then. Just ignore what I say because I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, it has a, what is it? God, it says 32 voice or something when you 64 or something voices of granular grains, 64 grains. And it has, what is it, 6 seconds? I can't remember what the stats are. 6 seconds of sample time that you load your sample in, and then you start granulizing the crap out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you start getting really, really interesting. And the shimmer.
12 bits of sampling. 12 bits.
Yes. Yes, it's a little grungy, but I like grungy.
So, how is it for I/O?
It's pretty basic, actually. Well, audio-wise, it's just a basic stereo output. But it is stereo. It's a nice thing. Sounds nice in headphones. Sync in and sync out. So I will be adding it to my clock survey and making sure that it plays nicely with my module. MIDI in and MIDI out. Normal MIDI DIN. That's nice too. Yeah. In fact, the only thing that's right. There is. Now I'm thinking about where is the USB?
There isn't.
Huh.
There
There is one. How do we get the samples in? We have to record them.
You have to record the samples in through the audio input. There's no. The only way that you can get a sample into this, well, actually no, hang on, I'm thinking the Lo-Fi 12. But yeah, you can't get a sample into this unless you do a specific export. So you can export.
Oh, you can do it by SysX.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how
that's
you
right.
update.
Yeah.
That's how you update
Yeah.
the firmware.
Is this the
those.
8-bit warps? Is that what this is?
No, it's a texture lab.
Oh, it's a texture lab.
It's Texture Lab. This
Okay.
is a Texture Lab, so it's a bit more specific to granular. But actually, one of the things I was thinking of, crossed my mind about this was, I wonder if it'd be worth doing like a SysX visualizer as well. I mean, I know the whole vibe is you do everything with your ear, but it also would be rather nice to have the waveform up on the screen and it actually show you what it's doing.
Wagyu wants you to play one of the sequences.
Oh, okay. Which one? Number one?
Yeah, just press play and this is the first one that's loaded up.
Where's play? It's here, isn't it?
It's
That's like, yeah.
It's like there you go.
Oh, I've heard that before. On the, I should actually plug it in. How's that? Let's give it some. Let's give it. I did actually prepare. Here's one I prepared earlier, Blue Peter style. Can we
Smart boy.
Is anyone hearing that?
There'll be no.
Oh.
Turn it up, fella. Turn it up to 11.
Oh yeah, no, something's
No
coming
good?
there.
Very, very faintly coming through.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
There you
Wonder
go.
how I managed to.
That's coming.
So it is very soft. I apologise. I'm probably too
That's
loud.
Good.
Yes. And how do we change to a different pattern, Robbie?
So hang on, I've just got to refamiliarise myself.
It'll be the pattern button, and yes, you press it.
Just number 1, number 2, number 3, whatever.
It should go on to pattern 6 now. Of course, I can't hear it. So this is truly, I'm doing this. I don't even know what sounds are doing when I'm doing. There you go, different pattern.
Still a shame it hasn't got a USB
Cold.
and you can just load in samples at will.
Doesn't appear so. So SysX is the only way in, by the looks.
Yep.
Other than the actual audio recording. But the ethos is kind of to record stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And you
they've
get
got to
that.
they've got to hit a price point. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
Yeah, it's $239.
Well, the good news is there's no USB port to break.
yeah,
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, I think it works out to be about 400 Australian, doesn't it? 400-ish.
Ooh, I have to get you on. I have to check my PayPal account to work that out. Yeah, it was something like that. It was what was it? 235, I think, plus. It was quite reasonable shipping actually. Now I know why, because it's Malaysia, just next door, across the water.
Okay.
Go Fremantle and keep going.
Just up the the wet stuff. Beautiful.
Okay, well,
Same time zone.
as I said, I'm sure I'll be able to share much more interesting stuff than this once I've had a bit of time to play with it.
Ooh. That's me tapping on my ears.
I
Can
have a
tap
cool
in your ears,
Japanese
people.
toy too. It's the
Your
rare
headphones on, yeah.
Japan only black Casio sax. Don't see these very often.
Hang on. Oh yeah.
You know,
Why you do that to me all the time? You hold stuff up and then you put it down again. That's a sax,
There's a
Kenny.
delay. This is the black one.
It's a black sax.
No batteries.
You gonna play it or are you just gonna show it?
No batteries in it, and you have to unscrew it to put the batteries in. It's kind of a pain in the butt.
All right. Fair enough.
Do you want to see mine?
Sorry.
I didn't use it.
Yeah, we'll see your new toy. Go on.
ooh,
Hang on. Oh, I know you got
Is that
that.
Bitbox?
Let me go full screen
Black
on
box.
you.
You got the 1010.
It's bloody amazing.
Is
Yeah,
that the
they're really
sample
good.
one or the effect one?
No, it's the sample one.
Okay.
mm.
So that's
It's really good.
yeah. It's so you've got the modular version, haven't you?
Yeah, the
Brooksy?
Bitbox.
I've
It's
got
full on
the
DAW inside.
Bitbox Micro. Yeah,
Micro, yeah,
Andy's,
which is the
Andy's
next one
got
down.
them as well. Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's all over. It's all over the stuff we do now. So yeah, if you check out our jam last night, it's all over that.
Cool.
So,
And you've done a fair bit of granular, because that has a granular mode on it, doesn't it? I think I've
It
heard
does,
you
you
do
play
a fair
that.
bit
I've
of
done a little
granular.
bit.
It's got so many modes in
not
it.
not
It's
lots.
insane.
You can
I
even
was-
load Doom on it and play it. They actually did it.
That's what it want from a synthesizer.
Brooksy, you have the micro, don't you?
Yeah, I've got the Bitbox Micro in the rack.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've only got 8 sample slots rather than the 16 on the big one.
On the Mark II. Yep.
You can do the
Less
you can
HP.
do- yeah, you can. There's more. There's actually more inputs on the micro for some reason. But yeah, it's great. It's the more I use it, the more I get out of it. It's brilliant. I really love it.
I think
Really
the Mark
love it.
II's. I think the Mark II's got more inputs on it. I think the Mark
Yes.
One had less. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the Mark II. It's the Mark II that I've got. Yeah.
yeah. But the one that Robbie's got, if you get the Mark II standard size run, not the micro, the screen is, I think, the same size on the eurorack module as it is on that thing that Robbie's got. It's exactly the same size screen.
It's basically the same thing. Yeah.
And if you're wondering,
You-
it's
the bigger screen.
649 US for the big one, eurorack module that is, and it's 649 US for the thing that Robbie got. Unless you're lucky enough to get one given to you for free. But yeah, pretty cool. He's just playing with it now.
It's lots of. It's
Playing
so
with
much
your
fun, and
toy.
it's just so easy to use.
It's a really good. It's a
And
really
easy
good
to put a battery
interface.
pack on it, so it's mobile.
I don't do much. I don't get out of here much. So
You don't go to park benches? Come on, Darren.
Exactly. Come on. You've
So-
got to be. That's perfect for park bench.
So for me, I was going to get the ALM simpler, however you say it. That this the sample.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Good
it does
sample.
it does something different that other like modular samplers don't do, and that is to do with the way it triggers the samples and things like that. And someone told me that the Bitbox can do that, but you have to menu dive a bit to get it to do it. So because there's quite a lot of functions in the menu, isn't there, Brooksy, that you can
There
bring
are.
up.
I mean, it's quite easy to get to them in setting up the different way you want to trigger it, which trigger is doing it, or you can set up each separate slot on a separate MIDI channel and trigger it over MIDI as well.
Yeah.
So it's very flexible, and it's not difficult to do. And you've got multiple outputs, so you can send different samples to different outputs, which is also really useful. And it's got built-in reverb and delay, which are actually quite nice. I mean,
So
they're not
that's what you
earth-shattering,
got,
but
isn't
they
it,
do-
Robbie?
they do-
The Mark II Black Edition? No, you didn't get that one. You got the
No.
No, he's got the standalone one.
yeah, the black box
the black box, which is
Yeah, go to.
desktop.
there. It is.
That's it.
Yeah, that
Out
one.
of stock.
So
The grey
it
one.
doesn't.
Yeah, they have run out.
More of a
I did
charcoal
check.
color. Yeah, it's
I was very lucky.
But they do have stock of the black
Of the modular one.
module, and it's the same
Alright.
price and it's the same size screen.
Yeah.
You just need to plug it into your eurorack, which Robbie doesn't.
So when I bought the
all the-
micro version, they hadn't upgraded the OS on the original Bitbox. So maybe they did by now, but that's one of the main reasons I bought the micro, because it had newer features.
What I like about it too is it on the eurorack module, it's got the MIDI in as a TRS, so you
I
don't
use that all
have
the
to
time.
like get convoluted, pitch and gate and all this crap to it. You can just go straight in off like key step or something like that.
No, dude.
I use
Yeah.
the Keystep Pro drum track into that MIDI, and it works great for drum sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does. It also does, like really long play samples too. So you could have like a drone
Yeah.
thing,
I've
You
just
can- you
put
can
It also is
Yeah.
great because some
It's
channels can be
tracks in,
CV recordings, and you can control CV
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the channels.
Yeah, I've not done that
do
yet.
that, but, no. I just put a SanDisk 128 A2
Yeah.
Extreme Pro, tiny little thing, and I playing 16 things off it. It was just streams off of that, no issue.
Yeah, it goes straight off. It's great.
Very good, very clever, very clever.
We can thank GoPro for that speed.
Mm.
On micro SD cards, been pretty much driven by the
Yeah.
action camera market,
Yeah.
and wow, we get the benefits.
See, all those, where are we? Back to here. All those connections there, they're all assignable. So they aren't technically just like, whatever they decide to make them, like the ones on the left and the right are, right? See how they're set to MIDI clock, blah, blah, blah. These ones in the middle, I think there's 20 of them. They're all assignable. That's really cool. So in the software on the screen, you go into a menu and you go, right, I want that to do, there's obviously a limit to what it can do, but that sort of stuff I like, because that uses inputs and outputs and interfacing more smart. It's not like you're stuck with a certain UI. It's not rigid. And
Because it's always a compromise, isn't it? You have to make a design decision.
649. It was just a little bit more pricier than the ALM. The ALM was only about 649 Australian. This is 649 US, which is probably more like about 900.
You get a lot. You do get a lot more in the Bitbox than you do in the Squid sample.
Well, the screen is the big thing for me.
I looked a lot. Yeah, I looked long and hard at these when I was trying to work out which sampler I was going to put in my rack, and I ultimately decided that it was worth. I bought mine second hand off eBay. My Bitbox Micro cost £350, which I thought was a good deal. So, but you can get them the Bitbox Mark II second hand for reasonable prices actually. So I would have a look on eBay.
Yeah, the sound pool has some clever stuff in it too. It's nice.
It does.
It's just a big ass module.
Well, but the thing is, for me,
that was also another reason.
See, Brooksy, I'm actually quite happy that you found a sampler that you can gel with, right? Because you didn't really, let's be honest, you didn't really gel that much with the MPC.
Well, no, it's a different sort of thing altogether. It's a different workflow, a different sort of environment, and the MPC is just so overwhelming. Really, I mean, my brain can't cope with all that. That's also part of the issue. I know you say break it down into chunks, but I like this box does that. This box does the other. This, and that's why modular works for me. Actually,
Well, you could say modular's overwhelming.
To a lot of people, it is.
If you go at it hammer and tongs and get massive amounts of stuff all at once, which people tend not to do. You get a little bit here, a little bit there, and then you sort of you grow into it. I mean, I know we're not going to convince everybody. Like Robbie's never going to believe us, but just that is a useful workflow.
He's
it works
probably got
the
a
way my
secret
mind
room.
works. So
Brooksy, I reckon he's got a secret
Secret
modular room.
What, a whole wall of
He's
modular?
not telling anyone about it.
I've got a room with toys in it. Would you like to come and see?
I might do.
Flashing lights.
Yeah.
You got enough toys there, Robbie. We know.
Exactly.
Hopefully, no
Well-
battery operated toys in there. So.
Well, gents, we had some fun with different products today. I would say, like, we mucked around with open boxing with Chris, and we talked about the PP1 with Eddie, and the ears, and Robbie coming in and demonstrating his Uno Pro Synth X, X Pro
Actually,
X,
cheers,
whatever
Robbie,
you
for
say.
that. That was
I'm actually really
Wakanda,
impressed.
Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I quite like that Uno synth.
yeah, it's a belter.
And we gave a big company a bit of a whack across the back of the head too, which they deserved, I think.
They do.
Yeah. So, you know, don't
keep
be
him
scared
in
to give
the
someone a
toes.
whack. Give them a bit of a whack. Speaking of giving people a whack, I need to whack you guys out of the show because I need to get up early tomorrow. I've got soccer in the morning. Got 2 kids playing soccer.
Yeah, I'm up early as well.
Yep. So
Those greens will be
football for you
flooded,
guys.
I know.
Just the Premier League
They're
starts
flooded
again
this
soon,
morning.
doesn't it? It's August, right?
Premier League's next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Championship.
Oh,
and,
does it have
Football
to?
League this week.
You only get 2.5 minutes off. It's tedious. Oh,
It's like because of all that. But England and Australia are through in the Women's World Cup to the knockout range, which is going to be
It's miles better
really,
to watch
really
that,
good.
honestly.
And that's
'Cause it's not
starting.
from Reading,
yeah,
it's
I
like
think that starts
football.
Monday, doesn't it? All the knockout stuff. Sunday.
Yeah,
or
Monday we
Yeah,
play.
the last
Is it
thing.
Nigeria we play?
Yeah, we've got Nigeria.
We're playing
be tough.
Denmark. Is it Denmark? So that if that's right, if we're playing Denmark,
Tricky.
where's Henrik? Where's Henrik?
Lurking. He's lurking.
And guess who's
Usually
back?
Saturday, summer, really.
If you're worried about Australia winning, guess who's back? Not injured now. Sam Kerr, literally one of the best female football players in the world. She plays for Telstra. If you don't know who she is, she's an Australian. She comes from this city, this very city, doesn't she, Chris?
That's right. She's one of ours.
Watch us bow out now. I've said that. I've just given her the biggest.
Yeah, that's all.
We will win.
Although they played very well without her, so maybe it's going to jinx it if she does come back.
Well, they did kick Canada out. That's actually pretty cool. They kicked Canada out
Spectacularly.
Well, Canada and Germany were the two ones that really kind of surprised everyone. I thought Germany and Canada were definitely going to go in because I think Canada won gold, didn't they? So they won gold, and Germany were the previous champions, right? So there's two really big ticket, teams that have bowed out because it can happen to anyone. But you guys should be happy because you guys in England there should be happy because you won your last Test cricket game. So technically, you probably won the Ashes. Technically, I reckon you probably technically did. Just stop mucking around with the balls. But
Feeling too
anyway,
great about that. Yeah.
and the second thing is that you won the netball, the first netball game down in South Africa. So you beat the Diamonds. You did well. But you've got two really good players in. Well, you got more than two good players, but you got two really good girls in your netball team. You got what's her name? Coldwell. She's a unit. That lady. She's massive. She's one of your shooters. Like literally, anyone bounces off her. She's massive. She's like really, really good. So if you guys don't ever watch netball, watch the World Cup, whatever it's called, championship down in South Africa. It's actually really, really good to watch because the games are really quick. It's like 15-minute quarters or something. It goes really, really quick. So it's actually quite interesting.
I was going to nip out after this, but it's so dark outside.
We have 4 degrees
Look at
outside.
August.
We have 4 degrees outside here. It's very rare for us to have that temperature, guys.
Oh, that's
See,
cold.
it does
So
get
that's
cold
cold,
here.
Rosalind.
Heart bleeds. Heart bleeds.
Stop it.
It's
Right.
the middle
Be
of
about
summer
12
here. It's
outside, yeah.
15.
You should be nice to your
All
mum.
the quokkas are
The
freezing.
spiders can't cope.
Yeah.
Spiders like this weather.
4
What are you
degrees, we can
talking
have
about?
Spiders can't cope.
They like
They all
it.
freeze. And they can't jump on you.
Like it. You should you
They'll
got
get
the
you.
Daleks back. We're going to go. Say goodbye to everyone. Be nice to your mum.
Okay.
Don't forget to
Bye,
hit
everyone.
record. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the video guests.
Exterminate.
Thanks, chatties.
If you
Exterminate.
didn't see our live stream, you
Take
can have
care.
a watch of that there. Go on.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, what's your thing tomorrow?